In the middle of the night, or early Friday morning, depending upon where you are in the world, a group of experienced comics professionals get together to examine and instruct about the art form that they love. That's great comic artwork on Comics by Night, Fridays at 5 a.m. Eastern, here on the Indie Comics Network, indiecomicsnetwork.com.
I did a job. I got nothing but trouble since I did it, not to mention more than a few unkind words as regard to my character, so let me make this abundantly clear. I do the job. And then I get paid. Go run your little world.
Good morning, Bacon Nation.
Morning.
What a beautiful, beautiful day.
What a crowd.
This, whatever day of January it is.
What a crowd.
It's the
January
5th.
something. The 5th.
Grab your 5th.
Grab your... We're going to grab it by the 5th and make it happen. Tomorrow.
Oh my
Tomorrow's a big day.
God, dude.
The
Yeah.
6th. We launch fundmycomic.com tomorrow in sign up so people can start signing up for
You are
early access.
launches.
What's that, Nick? You're roboting, buddy.
No. Nick.exe is roboting far more than the thing. Okay,
Nick.exe.
big day tomorrow.
Big day. Check this out.
Interesting timing. Oh Lord.
Ooh, that was pretty. Yeah, we got stuff happening.
That
Yeah.
is smooth.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Sorry. Just you scared me for a second there. I'm okay.
How did I scare
Giving
you?
you a sign that
Nick,
like
you're
Tony
roboting real
Bruce.
bad. We ain't getting hardly anything you're saying, bro. Yeah.
shit. Hold on.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, I mean, we gotta. Yeah, today's a big day. Today's a big day. It's the 5th. We got a lot to talk about today. So much stuff to discuss. As you can see, we've got some fantastic clickbait titling going on here this morning. It's really, really cool. See that, Randy? See what I did?
Is the leftist embrace of comics loosening?
Yeah.
And the late comics epidemic.
Epidemic, yeah. It's an epidemic.
It's not a pandemic. It's not an endemic.
It's
not a
some kind of a demic.
Tridemic.
Some kind of a demic.
It's just a demic.
It's a demic.
Okay.
We're dealing with a demic. Nick, you back with us?
I think he's restarted.
I think he might be.
It's time for a reboot for Nick.
Okay.
Checking the hamsters.
Checking the hamsters. Filling up the Hydra flask or whatever. Is that
You may need a straight up reboot, buddy.
Oh, God.
Get on a different node.
Yeah, you might be running too much on the old PC. So yeah.
There he is. Now he's grinding.
Now he's like the gears
Here
are
he's grinding.
Yeah, he was fine the whole morning. As soon as we go live,
It's the way it works.
it's the way it works every time, man.
Welcome to
That's
StreamYard,
how it works.
YouTube,
Yep.
Facebook, a go-go. Yep.
Facebook a go-go. Oh yeah, so we got a lot to talk about today. There's a lot going on in the world, and we're going to be doing kind of this new, I think 2023. We're going to be doing this news thing, Randy, where we cover some news and we give our opinions because, well, darn it, it's my freaking YouTube channel and I can say what the heck I want, right, within reason, as long as I'm not inciting violence, breaking a law.
I guess now you can't, if you're monetized, you can't swear within the first 8 seconds or the algorithm will catch you.
Yep. I heard that's a thing. It's not normally something I have to deal with.
I heard
It's not
that's
normally
a thing.
that big a deal. Yeah. So their algorithms are out to get you. You know, that's what they're there for.
It's YouTube just looking for an excuse because us little people don't matter.
No, it's all about us. It's all about quieting folks, right? And that's why we do the things that we do.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's why we make our own crowdfunding websites. That's why we
Still grinding.
That's why we do our own publishing, find our own distribution.
You got to find the workaround.
Yeah, that's why we do all those things.
It's the way this art form survives.
Certainly is. Nick, you look better.
You're smoother.
I would ask how am I doing, but now I'm seeing that Luke isn't running well. And any better?
Yeah, you're a little better, yeah.
You're still a little choppy in the audio, but other than that, you seem to be all right.
Yeah, doing just fine.
You're freezing here and there. Oh, there you froze.
Let's welcome the chat. Let's see who we got with us today.
Hail chat.
We got Agent Zero. Welcome, Agent Zero.
I'm
here. Let's go. It says sign up to meet notified of news from the upcoming Fund My Comic website. That is coming tomorrow. That will go live. Today, the developers are going to help me link up the domain so that it goes directly into our site at some point today. So pretty excited about that. Welcome Ray Haylock. Ray Haylock, he's one of the admins of the fundmycomic.com website. You know, this is why we do the things we do. You got to make your own alternative. You got to make it, and you got to make it not just good enough. You got to make it better. You got to make yourself undeniable.
That's the way it works.
Yeah. Welcome, Les. It's great to have you here today. Bacon. We start every episode of Nerd Bacon out with that beautiful, beautiful sizzling sound. There's nothing quite like the sound of sizzling bacon now, is there? I don't think so.
Nick's still frozen.
It's going to be a real long show, Nick.
Oh,
how's it going, Ray? There we go. So we got Ray back in the chat.
Hello to everybody.
All right, we got Genuine Comics
Cool.
here today.
Can't sleep.
Dave
Good
Brink,
morning,
welcome,
America.
Dave Brink. Great to have you here today. Les says hi from Canada. We got Phantasmagorical in the house today. Welcome,
Hey, yeah.
Phantasmagorical. It's great to have you here. And feel free, anybody else, to pop in the chat. Let us know that you're here. Critical Blast in the house. Got my Jimmy Dean Scrambler Just need bacon, and here's your bacon, brother. We got it for you. We got it for you. Do you like Francis bacon? I prefer Jimmy Dean's pure pork sausage. For those of you that get that reference and understand that joke, there's good things waiting for you. Immortal Rising Comics is here. Welcome. It's good to have you here today. Facebook user. Here we are now. Entertain us. We shall entertain you, Facebook user. And we're having a good day. So
smells like Facebook user too.
Smells like Facebook user. Yeah. So wow. So Sunday was New Year.
Yes, sir.
Sunday
was actually New Year's Day.
New Year's Day. New Year's Day.
Sure. We did a Sunday Funnies.
Yeah, how'd that go? Did it go pretty good?
It went well. It went really well, actually. Had quite a big house. I was amazed. Seems a lot of people aren't as hungover as I thought they would be.
Well, no, and you know what? Here's the deal. Being a Sunday,
yeah,
the churches weren't open.
Really?
Yeah, like I would have thought. So there were people that were meeting on on Christmas, right?
Yeah.
And I would have thought, Christmas. No, I get that because it's family day, Christmas presents.
Oh, exactly the opposite.
The
Christmas
thing,
is
right?
Christ's day. That's why you want the churches open.
Right? Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
When I was a pastor, if Christmas fell on a Sunday, we always had a Christmas Eve service at 11. We got over at midnight, and then we just didn't meet on that Sunday. Because it's not about me. It's about, it's about family and celebrating Christ's birthday. And, if we did a service, it was in the afternoon. It wasn't a big deal. But, for the most part, we just, we're already thinking about Jesus that day. We don't need to make it about them listening to me preach is always what I thought. But New Year's Day, that's not a big deal. Like you have church on New Year's, it's just
it is a big deal if you had all them shots the night before.
That's when it's a big deal, my friend. So a lot of churches were canceling. They weren't having a service. And so I was like, well, they're preparing for everyone to be hungover, not showing up. So people not hungover, they have something to do. Guess what they do? They go hang out at Sunday Funnies. That's what they do.
Pass the plate, then pass the bucket.
One of my favorite questions. So, what time is Christmas Eve midnight mass?
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know.
Who's buried in grains too?
Phantasmagorical did a wonderful video on Riff Riders talking about the In Demand campaign. Thank you very much for that. That was a great video, and it highlighted the Arrow bundle, the Quiver tier that we're going to be adding on all new Arrow campaigns in 2023. You'll be able to get this massive bundle that just incorporates a bunch of number ones and in some cases some number twos. It's going to be great.
Hopefully no real number two.
Hopefully no real number twos.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want any of that.
Number twos and threes and maybe even fours. You never know.
Welcome, Pedro.
Hey.
Welcome, Pedro.
How are you?
Happy New Year, guys.
We got Nick in the chat saying he's got to reboot the whole dang thing, which that's what you thought. That's what you thought.
We got better reception from Panama than we did from Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I can't stay long because I'm doing bank stuff with my dad. He and technology don't really mix, and I'm waiting for him. But I just want to come in to say, Happy New Year to you guys. 2023 looks amazing for all of us.
It does.
Let's just get to work.
Get to work. Let's make it happen. Get it done.
Yeah.
Make it happen, Captain. Ooh, yes. Oh, yes.
Coffee time.
Coffee time.
Coffee time.
I will have some fun news to be announcing hopefully next Thursday concerning the Crack-A-Boom Coffee Company. Yes. Crack-A-Boom Coffee. It's a real punch in the beans.
Nice.
Yes. Real punch in the beans. Critical Blast says, I'm so glad that Arrow will be the imprint that pops my comic publishing cherry. Yes, we've got another big Arrow book coming out this actually January 16th when Fund My Comic launches. We will have the Out of Obscurity anthology, a bunch of great creators, very talented individuals coming together doing short stories of public domain characters that are going to be released in a big anthology book. This may be something that we continue to do annually or biannually, but we're real excited about it. A lot of good people are going to be getting their publishing debut in this book.
I might have something for Arrow. I've been delving in a lot of like sci-fi horror short stories. And dude, I'm coming with 10-page bangers. I have like around 3 of those. So I might like present something very soon.
Well, I think, Randy, aren't you doing the Spank Bank? Where Spank the Monkey host
we were talking about it, but there's nothing we're not currently printing anything like those old EC comics, if that's what you're thinking, Pedro. Get a little narrator running with it, and some kind of like bad bookends, beginning and ends. And
yeah, dude, like the things like I've been delving a lot into like mysteries and whatnot, and there's this like Bermuda Triangle style thing going on in the Great Lakes. And I have this story about like F6F Hellcats disappearing. Like they disappeared in the 40s and they reappeared in 1986.
Right.
And the cats were dead, but they were fresh. So what happened?
Fresh bodies, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like there's a lot of things. Like I've been compiling a lot of stories like that. So I'm coming with this like character that delves into that. Not really government agents, but like so yeah, it's fun. I'm having a lot of fun with that, but I can't make like a long story out of that because the stories are like boom boom, and then he gets kicked out. So
yeah. It's gonna be good stuff, man. I can't wait.
I
love that kind of stuff, man. That's all about. I watched Tales from the Dark Side movie. A little nostalgia, that's based off those old comics, right?
Yeah.
And one of the old Tales from the Dark Side comic.
No, there's a Tales from the Crypt.
Tales from the Crypt comic.
There's Tales from the Crypt and there's
Tales from the Dark Side. I think we're all new. Yeah. Haunt of Fear, Vault of Horror. They all came out of EC in the 50s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when I say old, Randy, that's not.
You mean 10 years ago?
I mean 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
I'm talking. Yeah, 60 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Stories that still hold up, kids.
They do. They do. Those DC comics are fantastic, man.
Yes, they are. They're unbelievable.
And
Ray.
That's the thing. Like, I don't see like a response to that kind of material now, especially in short form. So I don't know, dude. Like, we have no editors. We're just free to do what we want. So,
well, speak for yourself. I have editors.
Yeah.
My editors see my vision and help me get there without being.
I know, but you know what I mean. Like, there's no corporate entity on top of.
Yeah, there's nobody saying no. You can't say that.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, what do you want to say? Then do it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if you want to say that you're not making any sense, yeah, we need that.
So, our topic today is actually going to fall right in line with this.
Where is Ray, in the Philippines?
Ray is in Australia, Melbourne.
Close.
Yeah. So he has got to get to bed.
I knew he had to be on the other side of the world for it to be 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah, dude.
He will be with us tomorrow night at 7 p.m. for a live stream that's going to go out over 8 different channels tomorrow, and we are going to be doing a Q&A about Fund My Comic tomorrow. FundMyComic.com sign-up page goes live, and so we will be announcing that at 7 p.m. We'll be trying to bring a lot of eyes and attention to that. You will have an opportunity to sign up to be one of the very first to have access to build a draft campaign before we go live for funding on the 16th. So yeah, it's going to be a big deal. And so we're hoping to have a good turnout for that. And basically what we're doing is we're testing different phases and sections of the site as we go. So the sign-up feature is getting tested first. The back-end feature is getting tested. And then when we go live to start funding, you will be able to back the Hybrids RPG and manual, the core manual, and the Killing Field trade paperback combo. So we'll have that, and then you'll also have the Out of Obscurity anthology, as well as a couple of other campaigns that will jump on and be ready to go live when the ball drops, so to speak. Speaking of ball droppings, how was your New Year's?
What are you talking?
You.
Oh, my New Year's was very Latin American, so it would be like half the celebrations you guys have. It was like, yeah, we're not that Happy New Year, but no, it was
right.
It It was good. Like, dude, lots of food, lots of family. I was kidnapped for 10 days. Like, I couldn't work for 10 days. My mom was like, we don't see you. So I went to Panama City. They just filled me up with food. Well, I cooked it. But because I'm the cook of the family.
Okay.
So no, it was fun. It was fun.
We have to have
Like,
cabbage and black eyed peas and all that
yeah.
stuff.
No, actually, we
Can't
made
please
like
everyone.
we made like the whole turkey ham stuff on Christmas Day. But then like some people do the same thing on New Year's. It's like, dude, let's just
Yeah.
make a freaking barbecue. So
Right.
we had like
Yeah.
a great barbecue on
Yeah.
New Year's Eve, and it was
Humans
so
are
good.
weird.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Humans are weird. We do weird things. The Earth makes it around the sun a complete rotation, and we decide to have a weird party and get drunk.
Yeah,
So I mean
exactly.
that's yeah.
I think that falls under that "Yay, we're not dead" category.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we made it.
I
You
made
know,
it, yeah.
some years are better than others. You know, I was thinking, yeah, I've got a good feeling about 2023, but
Yeah.
you know, Jeremy Renner got hit by a snowplow.
Dude, that was weird.
Yeah, we had that young man on the football team there. He just dropped with a cardiac arrest. 24 years old.
2 days.
24 years old.
Yep.
2
Any
days
better.
after the jab.
What's up, Nick?
You know, that's what a lot of people aren't want to talk about, thinking this jab might have something to do with it. But shh, we don't want to get
Yeah.
pulled.
Don't
We don't
upset
wanna
those
get
algos. Yeah.
Don't upset those algorithms. So,
Am I
Probably just do
working?
this now.
you are working, Nick.
You're working. You're working it hard. Nice Hawaiian shirt, sir. I commend you.
Oh, thank you.
He's
This
back.
is this is one of my favorites. Yeah, epic battles. Oh god. Well, that's try to work on a computer to make it better. It's you know.
Oh yeah, I
If I-
understand how that
anyhow.
goes. Welcome,
have a
File
lot-
13. It's great to have you here.
Talk about
Hey.
it today.
File
Joe?
13.
Final 13.
Yeah.
That reminds me of this like very quirky
I-
show
I-
called Warehouse 13. I don't know if you saw it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like it was one.
Oh,
That's one of
yes.
like my guilty pleasure shows. Like I just enjoyed it, but it was goofy. But
Oh, you couldn't think about it too much. You just had to
Yeah.
brain check it and just
Mhm.
enjoy it for
yeah,
what it was.
I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. For what it
Sci-Fi
was.
Channel had a whole bunch of shows like that for a while that were really good.
Yeah,
Real lighthearted. Don't try to put a lot of thought in it. Just sit back and enjoy it. And then now all they got is
highly
pretty much
entertaining.
reruns and poop. So
Yeah,
Welcome,
Highly
Buddy Lord.
entertaining.
It's good to have Buddy Lord in the chat today.
Buddy
Nice
Lord.
to have you here. All right, so
Yes.
here's the deal. I want to talk about a article
I was
that I read.
Artie.
There are, well,
Marty.
before we do that, I do
and
want
I've
to.
lost for me. Okay, that's
Whoa.
better. Now you're back. They must be messing with the cell tower.
probably.
Probably. So here's the deal. I want to talk about my New Year's. I had something come in. I ordered something over the. Well, you know how sometimes I find these really fun things on Amazon?
Okay.
So I found. My wife actually got notified about this on Amazon before Christmas. This chicken lamp
Oh man,
came up in her recommendations,
chicken lamp.
right? This came up in her recommendations.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this is great. This is, I mean, look at that thing.
But that's not a
Look at
reading
this.
lamp, is it?
This is a bedside reading lamp.
Wow. So you're gonna read and you're gonna get illumination from the cloaca.
Right there. It's like an egg. It's like
Uh-huh.
it's laying an egg. Right? So I thought to myself, man, I gotta get this. So
You got to wonder who spent the time dreaming that one up.
Dude.
Right,
Who,
so-
who was the Einstein? That was like, you know what?
So I
love it.
ordered this, and I didn't think it was going to show up because it was supposed to be here on the 27th of December.
Okay.
So once we got to the January 1st date, I was like, yeah, this isn't coming. I'm going to have to file a thing. And imagine my surprise when on Tuesday morning, I get a package containing this little guy.
Aww.
Here we go. I'm going to have to unplug it so that you guys can see me better
Yeah.
because it shows off quite a bit of light
It's a hell of a
Yeah.
lamp.
Bum light. Yeah.
here. But it's very bright.
It's cuter when you see the
It's
size.
small, yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I've got a lot of light going on here.
Yeah.
It's actually
let's try
pretty
turning that
dinky.
off. It's so dinky. Look how tiny this thing is.
It's teeny. It's wee.
It's weak. It's a USB only.
It's a wee
And
lamp.
It's a wee lamp.
Look how
Literally.
long the cable is.
Yeah.
When I got this, we all thought this was a reasonable size lamp. That this was like a bulb, like a full size bulb.
No, it's
And
not.
we're
Yeah.
like, no, that's not.
It's the way
But
it
I don't
looks
know,
like
if it
on
was-
the
Yeah,
photo. It looks like it's going to be
Yeah.
a full size chicken.
Mhm,
yeah, but
exactly.
it's not a full size chicken.
It says
It's not a
like
full size
in
chicken.
the ad.
So when it comes to Amazon buys for the Nerd Bacon show, this is probably one of the worst.
the worst.
Yeah, this is nowhere near.
I
on
don't.
the
I don't know
caliber.
those short the butt pants. I still think the butt pants are
The butt pants were
probably-
pretty bad, yeah. But
But
nothing
the,
has
the
been as
Daddy
epic
DeVito
as
pillow was the best.
yeah, the Danny
Yeah,
DeVito
dude.
pillow definitely.
That's
is the
we,
winner.
we have a high point and we have a low point now.
Yeah.
So,
So
Yeah, yeah.
there
the
we go.
ruler's set.
Chicken lamp. The chicken lamp actually it does plug in right here on my new tablet. I've got a USB port, so I can plug it in. So I do plug it in, and I've got a little glowing butt lamp right there, right here on the table, right there on the desk. So I can be reminded of my crappy decisions.
The chicken lays a glowing egg
Yeah.
with USB light.
Yeah, it does. And I guess it says it right there, USB. I don't really pay attention to those things. I was like, I gotta have this lamp. I've got to have this chicken lamp. In fact, the idea was I was going to wrap it up and give it to Beth, make her think that it was one of her Christmas gifts. But alas, I did not do that. But yeah, so that's what that's how I spent my New Year's.
They do have
You-
the
you've
dimensions
already
there
met
in the
Jesus
ad, so they're
once.
not really lying.
They do. No,
No,
they're
it's
not
no
lying.
lie.
Yeah.
They were absolutely accurate in everything that
Yep.
they said. I was just so enamored by the chicken lamp
Late Imperial.
that I lost myself in it.
It's a chicken lamp.
It's better
Welcome,
than some
Dr.
of the
Crow's Carnival Comics. Good morning, good morning. It's nice to have you here this morning.
It's better than some of the stuff I've ordered on Facebook.
Yeah,
It's always half as big as what you think when you order it off of Facebook.
right.
It's really disgusted. After 3 times, I said, "Okay, you got me enough. I'm not doing it again."
Speaking of ordering stuff, let's start here with this. Before we get into our main topic, which I think is going to, dominate the rest of the conversation today. Because there's a lot going on in these things right now. Let's get here. Let's start out here with, I want to start out with this list. So let's start with this list. Let's start with the fact that ordering things and not getting what you expect, or unfortunately not getting them at all. Okay, so I get a lot of I get a lot of flack from people that I don't cover or talk about late books, and because I am CG connected, whether I use a hashtag or not. People, I'm not one of those. Here's my stance, guys. I don't believe you need to rely on a hashtag to sell your book. I think hashtags are good for letting an audience know about your book.
Yeah.
Right? Like if I want the Comicsgate audience to know I have a book out there, I might use a hashtag. Or if I want the game developer community out there to know that we're doing an RPG, I'll do that. Or if I want people that are into indie comics or Ancient Aliens, I might use those hashtags, right? But I don't believe in living by a hashtag because of a movement. Like, the only movement at my age that I want happens in the bathroom.
Yep.
Right? That's the only movement that I want. So, sorry for being so crude, but that's just the truth, right? And my focus is on good comic books and great customer service. So if I can focus on those two things, that's what I'm going to focus on. That's my focus, my priority. My priority is not going to be political or ideological. I don't care who or what is between your legs, and I really don't care who you voted for, right? When it comes to comic books, don't put your crap in comic books, and I will buy it. Basically, that's my philosophy, right? So people get upset that I either do or don't say negative things about my Comicsgate friends and co-creators that are out there. Well, yes, EVS is really late on a book. Big whoop. Okay, he's late on a couple of books. If you don't want to buy his books, don't buy them. That's on you. Don't do it, right? You know, he's telling you that they're late. He's showing you that they're late. He's doing work on some of them. Some of them he's not. It's up to you to decide as a consumer whether or not you're going to back him, right? The problem that I see is when you get these people that all they want to do is they want to focus on one or two people that it makes a great point for them to say that, oh, well, big bad CG doesn't fulfill books. Well, bullcrap. How many books have I fulfilled? How many books have you fulfilled, Pedro?
One.
How many books do you got, Pedro? One, right?
Yeah.
So that's the point. There are so many people out there that are these lower level folks that are they're fulfilling books, they're putting books out, they're making it happen. Even some of these guys that I don't even like. Like there's some guys out there that I think their books are absolute garbage, and I think they're garbage people, right? But they're putting their books out. They're getting fulfilled. No one's talking about the books that are getting fulfilled. They're only talking about the ones that aren't getting fulfilled when it comes to the political line. And you know who you are, IG. You know who you are out there talking, and all you want to do is just focus on this. Well, guess what? We're going to look at some Kickstarters today because everybody wants to say that it's only Indiegogo. Well, here's a lot of things that's happening. This is an article from May of 2022. This is called Kick Stopped by a guy named Rich Johnson. There are 35 late crowdfunding Kickstarter books as of May. All right, these are Kickstarter books. These are from people that I've never heard of, to be quite honest. We got a book called Jason Pearson's Body Bags. Don't Die Until I Kill You. It raised $39,000. 466 backers. Has not fulfilled. 2015.
Jason Pearson.
Japan Needs Heroes was a benefit book. And it looks like it's supposed to be in 2021. I think they typed 2 new ones on the end of that. 17,000. Let me try to make this bigger so people can see it.
Yeah. Could be he's right, and we're just really early.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. 17,000. Joe Madera's Battle Chasers. 2015.
2015.
As part of
7 years late.
$850,000
Holy smokes.
plus Kickstarter.
Wait.
I mean, but he's known for this, though. So the joke is kind of on the backers. Like, if you back a Joe Matt, like, I remember, like, I started buying the Battle Chasers when they came out. I saw, like, 1, 2, and then I didn't sell, like, another book for years. And then here's another one. Like, I don't care anymore. So I switched to Humberto Ramos and freaking J. Stark Campbell, because they were more consistent. Like, Joe Matt has always been, like, this kind of artist.
Was a pretty book, though.
Yeah, but he gets distracted. Like, you know, like, as an artist, you don't have to be good, but you have to be responsible. No.
Journeyman 2011. We have Midnight Harvest 2013.
Ooh.
Metamora. Lou Frontier 2016.
Is that Frontier or Frontier? Frontier?
Frontier.
Okay.
Frontier. It's a mashup of the two.
Frontier.
Launched in 2016. We got the great big Hawaiian Dick 100-page hardcover by B. Clay Moore 2015.
That's a great name, though.
That is a great name.
It's about a detective in Hawaii.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Molly Danger 2015, Malcolm Harris put out a book. 2012,
Jamal
Yet to
was
Fulfill.
Jamal was on that list from Aftershock, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Ooh. Anyway,
So, Blackmail Comics issue 0. Paul DiFilippo, 2016. Filippo. Unhappy White Girls, a comic book novella by Christian Baranek Triska, Vivian Lee, and Thomas Maurer. Maurer, thank you.
Yeah.
2011. Private updated in 2014. Last update 2014.
ding ding.
Oh, dude.
I'm guessing that book's never coming. Mandy,
Right.
#1 by Sean Surface. Launched in 2015.
She came and she
2018.
gave without taking.
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
In 2018, he posted, I have been away some time now, and I do apologize for my absence. As I have mentioned in a previous message, after nearly completing the art on issue #1 of Mandy, I experienced some drastic health and financial issues that greatly altered my release timeline for the book. When you start getting into that, okay, I can understand, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not real hard on health issues because we know what happens if you get put in a hospital, right? But keep in mind, I was put in a hospital, and what did I do?
Yeah, exactly.
I fulfilled.
Dude,
While in
we're,
the hospital.
we're
My
talking
family
6
did
years
the
here,
work.
man.
My family.
We're talking
did the
6
work.
years here, man.
Yeah.
So unless you were assaulted by the French Foreign Legion or something, or there was something catastrophic happened to your town, like there's no excuse, man. 6 years is too much.
Okay, Zombies with Shotguns #2.
Huh.
Rats and Crow Publishing. I know these guys, right?
No,
I know
no
who these
comments,
people
no
are.
nothing.
There you go.
We started around the same time. Nick is out again. We're going to wait for Nick to come back. He's having a lot of internet issues right now. And I know he has a lot to say about this stuff.
It's a hamster problem.
Rat and Crows Publishing.
No updated, no comments, no nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
nothing.
can you please highlight the critical blast comment? The Mandy creator actually died. So you see, assault by a foreign legion or something.
Oh,
So
they did?
yeah,
Did not know that.
Wow. Yeah.
Neither did I. So
So
my
Mandy,
comment is safe,
RJ would know. Yeah.
so Mandy, perfectly fine
perfectly
for
fine.
that one not
Yes.
fulfilling.
Yeah,
It's sad. It's sad that happened.
yeah,
Sad news. Yeah.
That's
yeah. My
sad.
heart goes out to the creator.
My heart goes out to
And
that
their
kid.
families. Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome
Wow.
this morning, Margo. It's nice to have you.
Well, then, you know, if it was responsible journalism, Dick Johnson would have noted that.
Yeah. Did he say that? Is it in here?
Oh, he informed me from the beyond.
A
Nope.
close friend of Sean. He informed the ongoing put together a team of artists to finish the
Ah.
first issue. Sean's older brother Wayne.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
All
Okay.
right.
In 2020, that Sean did indeed die.
Okay.
So Sean did indeed die. With a comment reading, I talked to Jason Adams, close friend of Sean.
Wow. Dude, that's
Well, then that would be, in every sense of the word, a labor of love to get that out into the
Had only
back.
16
Yeah.
pages done.
Yeah.
to the backers. Yeah.
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 And I hope that they can. And this one, like that, Mandy #1, is
Yeah.
probably the only one that I have any.
A translation of Tezuka's works, the artwork, everything's
It's
done. You
done.
just have to
Yeah.
translate it and re-letter it and kick it out. What's the problem?
Yeah.
Mm.
Voodoo
All that
Detective.
anime they have to
2013,
watch.
2017.
Yeah. Maybe they were arguing
Carl
over
Kessel.
whether or not they needed to flip the artwork. Who knows?
Mhm.
Chase the Moon by Drew Moss.
2018. Vita del Sante.
2017. It says we are currently refunding with a plan to relaunch once we've finished. After funding in 2017.
Yeah.
2020,
Now-
late a year ago.
The Adventures of Simone and Ajax. When was this article done?
May.
Because Simone and Ajax was a Arrow printed Simone and Ajax in the Arrow anthology. I've got
Oh.
my book from Andrew. Andrew's fulfilled
Oh,
that already. He
oh,
was
okay.
late. He knows he was late, but
Yeah.
he's fulfilled. And if I might add, that book is gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful hardback book. just fantastic.
But we're talking 2 years here, which is bad.
He was
but
late.
It's not as bad as other examples in this
Right.
case.
Right, yeah. Not the worst. 2 years,
It's
man.
bad.
You know, because here's the deal. We got Buddy in the chat. I know Buddy well. He's hit roadblock after roadblock. He's 2 years late.
Yeah.
And this latest issue is not his fault. It was his artist. His artist was acting a fool.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I for what I've seen right now, like, I had Tropical Magic completely finished before launching, but seeing the process, like, I'm measuring, like, I need to have like 60 or 70% of the book done before launching, and there wouldn't be a problem. Like, I can keep the same schedule, which is like 6 months. I was like 2 months late, and I was mortified because I set a date and it was 2 months after. I was like, ugh. So I don't know, like, how would I feel if I go like a year over or 2 years over? Like, yeah, I will be on the news, man.
Eclipse Comics, intended for 2019. So Tim Trauma, Scout Martyr, late.
Yeah, dude.
Space Goat Productions, Evil Dead 2 Comic Omnibus, 2017.
That's got to be a rights issue at this point because they just did a new Evil Dead movie.
Yeah, let's talk about Rob Liefeld on the list.
Brigade,
2013.
returns. Yep,
2013.
2013.
Nothing. And
he raised a lot of money for that campaign too.
Yep, I do know. I do know if you ask old Rob about it, you'll earn yourself a block.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard. That is what I have heard. So, but here's something that's not on the list that I want to talk about.
Yep.
So here's another book on the list that
should
be on the list. This 100% should be on the list, and they don't put it on the list because I think of the names attached to it. A Tomahawk. 326 backers for $22,619, bringing the project to life. The last update was June of 2022.
Oh, yeah.
Look at this. Look who's on this book.
Yeah.
Behold,
Donnie
puny
Cates.
Earthlings. Your friend Donnie Cates and Ian Betterman have teamed up.
Yeah, dude.
He promoted this with a tweet. He promoted this book.
Cute name.
Yeah.
Dude, the thing is, like, Donny Cates is a great writer, but when I hear Donny Cates, the only thing that goes in my mind is out.
I want to bring up something else.
Heavy metal. Oh.
Who did we just talk about last week?
Yeah.
Right?
Was Heavy Metal backing this?
Do you think that this is a coincidence?
Is it a heavy metal project?
It's
Or was it in heavy metal?
a heavy metal book, apparently.
I mean, the logo's there.
It's being published by Heavy Metal.
Yeah, that logo can't be there unless they have some sort of affiliation with it.
Yeah. And I know, like, I heard, like, very, very light. I have very light information on this. Like, this is a tattoo artist that this is his first comic book, and he's like really good friends with Donny Cates. So I don't know. I don't know what's happening here, but I don't like it.
Yeah, the guy's art is great. I like the art.
He does tattoos. Yeah.
He's good.
They've got an action figure going with it.
Nice
They've
turnaround.
put a lot of work into this campaign.
Yeah.
And they've raised a lot of money.
Don't mean
and that money is in
diddly.
someone's
It's like
bank
they
account.
can't get the comic out.
Yeah. And that money is in somebody's bank account right now.
Yep. That's the thing. Just like that FTX fraud, that money's somewhere.
That money is somewhere.
Well.
There were a lot of focus on the action figure.
There were a lot of elections swung
exactly.
in this country in a direction they weren't expecting because there was a lot of money that showed up in order to push their campaign. So
Yeah, dude, it's so transparent now. But
there's dots there.
The latest update says, I would like to thank everyone for being patient, our original timeline up for the Kickstarter was just for the toy. So when we added the comic on, it ended up taking much longer than I expected. The source of the delays are many, but the main one is that I think I can work a lot faster than I can. And having missed our initial deadlines, we have to wait for schedules to line up again. As of now, the comic is going to be over 25 oversized hand-painted pages for a total of 32 to 34 pages with extras at magazine size. We are getting a printer lined up and looking at about 2 or 3 months before we have books in hands. This was in June.
Yeah.
They should have books in hands. There's been no other updates.
Dude,
And here's the deal. If in
30
2 years
pages.
or if in this number of months you can't finish a 25-page comic book, you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be making a comic book. I'm just going to be honest with you. It doesn't take me that long to make a 25-page comic book. And I'm not what you would call professional. I do this for a profession, but I haven't quote unquote leveled up to one of these bigger publishers, right? To what you would expect.
Like,
So
I
late
don't know,
books.
dude. Yeah.
This is a epidemic.
Yeah.
And
but
what's
look,
happening is it's causing. Go ahead.
Look, I have a question. Is this a work ethic issue, or exactly what's like you don't line up with the colors and they have a schedule? Like, I don't know. Like this problems to me in my Latin American like chisel and hammer things are easy to solve.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know. Like if it's a work ethic issue, like you pay up front and people disappear, because I hear that a lot. Like that's something I would never do, because I mean your word is your bond. You know what I mean? So,
I think it happens not just in America, but I get it with there's a lot of foreign artists that I won't pay up front.
yeah, exactly. Like I don't know. Like I mean, right now in the community I'm working with you guys, like some people pay me up front, and that only puts more fire in my ass
Yeah.
to deliver promptly. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
like-
It's just like, dude, you're responsible. And
Yeah,
people
I get paid up front, which makes me want to work harder and faster.
Yeah, exactly.
So I put more effort in when I get paid up front. Now there's other artists that I know that you get paid up front and they're habitually late because of work ethic. It comes down to work ethic.
Yeah.
Critical Blast is right. RJ's got it right here. It says your first few comics, the delivery date is an estimate. It even says estimated after 5 or 6. Creators should be better prepared with more realistic delivery dates. And that's right.
Yeah.
And so when a pro comes in and says their estimated delivery date is such and such, it should be, when it comes to their work. Now, if they're saying, we don't know much about, we're having a little trouble with printers or whatever, that can change up a bit.
Yeah.
But, I've got to say, Graham Nolan, Aaron Lopresti, these are pros that have come in and I think nailed it and killed it on the crowdfunding.
promptness. Yeah.
Yeah, their promptness and their professionalism, and a couple of people I'm proud to be in the same indie sphere with. Like good stuff. But the reason why I want to talk about that is Nick. It looks like Nick is back with us.
All right.
He keeps freezing a little bit.
At this point, I'm trying. It's actually at the internet provider level, so this is the best I can do.
Okay.
If it gets too bad, what happens is they keep reactivating my 5G. It's me off the.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Maybe cut your video. I think we'll be okay
That's-
without your video.
The normal,
That's
but
it.
it
We'd
doesn't
rather
run
have
on
your
5G
audio.
because I'm too damn.
Yeah. You're roboting in. Go and cut your
Oh,
video. We'd rather
wow.
have your audio. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, that sounds infuriating, Nick. I'm sorry.
It is. It's something I've been fighting for the last since like 4 or 5 years. Intermittent.
It does make sense.
And every
though,
time they
because
switch staff, they're like, "Oh,
Oh man.
it makes sense because he lives out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So
That's
I think
Does
he's next
internet
door neighbors
providers
with
start
courage.
with an I? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
I
Because
do.
then I can associate.
The
Sorry. That's
Buddy
good.
Murphy says,
whole town is getting 3 or 4 houses over here.
oh, okay. Buddy Lord says, I'm a living example of Murphy's Law when it
So,
comes to
yeah.
comic creation. Much of the fault lies with me and my poor efforts into researching it all. Still, it's a hard gig. And, you know, sometimes you take people at face value. You think that you've found yourself into a community of people that they're going to have your back. But it turns out they're grifters. You have to be careful. Because here's what I've learned in this industry. If someone comes up and says they want to mentor you, they probably, what they mean by mentor is they want to exploit you. They're saying, hey, I want to help you. Normally, the best people to get help from and to have mentor you are not asking you to allow them to do that. You have to go after them. They don't usually
Weird.
don't.
I can everybody else but Luke right now.
That is weird. Maybe because I'm talking. That's why
I can hear
see me.
Pedro crystal,
Yeah, he keeps
and now I can see you. I don't know.
Yeah.
Reason everyone breaks up, but the guy who is on the continent. Explain this
that's right,
one
yeah.
to me.
Yeah, everyone in America is breaking up for him except for the.
Yeah.
File 13 says smart person pulls it out of the bank and put it where the bank invest our money. That's another stream. But that is another stream. Yeah, smart person would say it's not going to. Chances are, if that money is sitting in a bank, it's probably already been used.
Yeah. Or generate passive income. If it gets to like
Hopefully.
a proper amount, then you're generating passive income with it. But,
And yes, almost a rite of passage for new creators to get burned at least once, and some of us more than once. Yeah, that happens very often. But now I want to get into the topic of the day because I think this is going to take up quite a bit of our time. So I read this article in the Washington Examiner that brought to light some things that I think is interesting. And I kind of did a clickbaity title. My question is the leftist embrace of comics loosening? Not their hold, not the infiltration of comics, but their embrace, their willingness to look at the art form and the medium as something to be looked up to be used as a legitimate voice and a legitimate source of literature, right? The reason why I asked this, and this brings to light kind of the way things, and Randy, you're going to be able to speak to this a lot better than I am. But there was a day when mainstream comics rejected independent or underground comic books. And I think, based on this article, let me read some of this article to you guys, because I think we're starting to see that kind of repeat itself a bit. Sorry, I was trying to find the word there. So this article in the in the Washington Examiner talks about academics rejecting certain graphic novels, certain pieces of comic book works from different creators. What I really want to do is I want to pick up here on this part of the article. This article, let me give a few details about it. This is the Washington Examiner. It's called Raw, Weird, and Politically Incorrect: How Underground Comics Are Pushing Back Against Woke Culture. This is by a guy named Mark Judge. This was written on December 21st, 2021. It's published at 6 a.m. I probably read it on the 22nd. it goes over a few things here and talking about how there is a kind of a pushback with underground comics, kind of the anti-woke thing. You got Eric July, it mentions Eric July in the article, and how he was, he is kind of sticking it to the libs or whatever. I personally don't think that's a good reason to make a comic book, or I don't think that's a solid business model when you're just trying to stick it to the libs. You've got to have it's got to be a love. It's got to be a passion for making comics. And Critical Blast has got it right, yeah. Embrace, not to be confused with Stronghold. They still very much have a stronghold, which is why I think you see a crowdfund like Donny Cates being attached to that is late and it's not being talked about. But what they're talking about is late books from Zach, from Richard Meyer, and Cecil, and EBS. Those are the three people that I know have late books. I'm sure there's others, but those are the three that I know have late books in the CG world. I don't know a lot of it. Most people I associate with have books that are out. Well, I guess Buddy has one that's late, and he's not CG. He's a fence sitter. He's Dark Gift Comics is late on a book, and but he's doing regular updates. He's on YouTube all the time. He talks about it. But again, there's a few people that have late books. And so they're talking about underground comics. Basically, they're no longer underground anymore. Talking about Mouse and how that one, could be purchased, on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and different things like that. There's another book they talk about here.
May I interject while you look?
Absolutely, please.
This is one of the fun things that I love about articles like this that are written literally by outsiders, is that they have no grasp of the terminology, no grasp of the slang, and 9 times out of 10, they just make stuff up to fit their agenda.
Right.
Just flat out make stuff up. Because Eric July, Isom, is more mainstream than what anything Marvel and DC's been printing lately. You just have to read the book.
Yeah.
It's straight up 90s superhero story. It's exactly the way that he advertised it. That's the way it was. Yeah. And because he attracted a lot of sales because of his political videos and his conservative leanings, not necessarily right leanings. He's libertarian.
Yep.
It's branded as underground. And holy crap, get your terminology correct, because there are very, very few crowdfunded books out there right now that the market, if they know their definitions, would remotely consider to be underground. I think Christy Shin's book is underground. Roach Balls was underground. That heralds back to a day of raw energy, artistic talent displayed on a page without restriction, without any kind of editorial guidance, where Isom is a straight up 90s superhero book. It might be slow, it might not be everybody's cup of tea, but that's what it is, and it's exactly as advertised. And for them to go through and just pigeonhole this as underground shows this person's lack of understanding of the market.
Yeah.
So,
but Brandy, there's another thing.
The entire article needs to be taken with a grain of salt from somebody who knows nothing about what he's talking about.
They did wiki. They did wiki what underground comics were. So underground comics originated in the counterculture of the 1960s and 70s. Titles such as The Freak Brothers and Zap were sold in head shop stores. They sold records and tools for smoking tobacco. A Supreme Court case, Miller versus California, allowed decency laws to be dictated by local community standards, and as a result, a lot of the head shops were closed. There was also a newsprint shortage in 1973, and hippie readers were aging out of readership. So they did a little bit of a wiki research on there.
Yeah, but there's another thing I want to comment about this kind of attitude of the writer. Like, they say mainstream because as the time goes by, they're in an empty room. Like, we are the mainstream. We are like what's hip, and they look back and there's nobody there.
Yeah,
because they lost their audience. So they're doubling down on we are the mainstream. Like, we are what's hip. Whatever that happens outside of our sphere, it's underground. So it's more of a coping mechanism, more so than trying to be accurate. Like, there's a little bit of, like being facetious here.
That desperation is more the word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
of holding on to a outdated definition.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually tend to like how the article goes by the end. Okay. It was interesting to me that they would take that. They bring up the fact that Weirdo, the book Weirdo, was edited by Crumb.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And so they bring his name up. They talk about a few different ones. So in 1980, Alternative Comics had a new outlet, the comic book store, in the wake of the success of Marvel Comics, which attracted entire new generations of readers. Fans could now get their comics not from grimy hippie dens, but from clean, well-lighted shops. In the stores I frequented in high school and college in the 80s, the layout was simple. Spider-Man, Batman, and Captain America were on the main display racks, and off to the side or even in the different room was Love and Rockets, Hate, 8-Ball, and other titles. There was also Raw, the anthology, edited by Spiegelman, and Weirdo, which was edited by Crumb. These alternative comics offered sex, politics, punk rock, and often the pure id of their creators. There were racial and sexual stereotypes, anti-establishment rants, leftist diatribes, satire, self-loathing, and libertarianism. Love and Rockets lets the characters age in real time. Baggy, who created... Am I saying his last name right?
I think it's Baggy.
Baggy?
Yeah.
Who created the hilarious comic Hate, that both celebrated and satirized hipster culture, went on to become a libertarian who wrote strips for Reason magazine. Marjane Satrapi's Persepolis told the story of growing up in Iran during the suppression of the fundamentalist revolution. The talent and freedom. Go ahead.
Again, he groups those three books together as if they all came out at the same time. Persepolis didn't come out until years after Love and Rockets and Hate came out. That during this entire time, there was a whole alternative movement, Eclipse Pacific, and all of these other secondary color publishers that had popped up. Dark Horse was doing color, and all of that was going on. But of course, that doesn't fit their narrative, so they're not going to mention those.
Usually doesn't. Yeah. Usually doesn't. Symphobic is here. Welcome. Symphobic says, Randy is 100% correct. It's often people who have no experience from outside the sphere speaking on things they don't really understand. And yes, I think you're going to see that to be true here. But even someone that doesn't really truly understand, I think they are seeing a trend that is worth us discussing. Okay, so it talks about the talent and the freedom that you see in those books. But apparently there's he mentions earlier that there's an LGBTQ group that says that Hollywood isn't woke enough.
Well, that's you give them an inch, they take a mile.
Right, yeah.
Cliche. Everybody wants more. It's just the way it works.
Yeah. So we're gonna fast forward a little bit.
It's real easy to be able to pop up anymore on Wikipedia and copy a few paragraphs and pretend that you're an expert.
Right.
Yeah.
This is what's happening here.
So it says Baggy also makes the telling comment that when comics were underground, it wasn't something that any creator was going to lose a college professorship over.
Yeah.
In the age of the woke, that has changed. In the fall of 2020, for example, Phoebe Glockner, the author of the graphic novel The Diary of a Teenage Girl, and an associate professor at the University of Michigan, was accused of curriculum-based trauma by students, partly because she showed them Crumb's work. The art itself might not have been offensive, but Crumb, in his refusal to accept woke ideology, were.
See, that's not a curriculum problem. That's a student.
Wait.
An oversensitivity
May I
on the
weigh
part
in
of the
here?
student's part's problem.
Please weigh in, Nick. My little
Okay, I want to make sure my audio, because I've been waiting on this one. Here's the sad fact, folks. You don't know it, but 2023 might be part of my villain.
Guys,
so
I gotta
brace
go.
your dang
I gotta
selves.
go. My dad's here. So
All right, we'll see you, Pedro.
Happy
Thanks
New Year.
thanks for
Have
stopping
fun,
in.
guys.
Pedro, take care. Happy New Year, buddy.
Take care.
Feel free to flee in terror, Pedro. That's right. That's how powerful the idea of the Nick
Nick
villain
Villain
is.
arc. Yeah.
Pedro just ducked. But okay, if you are in, you will have the mentality and the life path for it. It's not for everybody. But if you are in there and you are studying and ideas do not make you comfortable, you aren't learning something. Okay? If you are not uncomfortable by some of the material presented, you are not learning things outside of your sphere. Therefore, you are not having a chance to develop. I took the graphic novels as literature. In Purdue University was the very first offering of that. And when I say, if you think I'm argumentative now, the epic battles that engage between me and my professor over the idea that, okay, like Randy says, people have to know what the heck they're talking about. If you're going to talk about titles and how they affect people, okay, they have to be read. What that means is this is one time where I kind of lean towards acknowledging the quote-unquote mainstream for its effect. Because as wonderful as many of the indie comics that we read and create are, until enough people read them that they become a sociological phenomenon, until the ideas are out there far enough that people get it, you're going to have this kind of drivel. Because you'll have professors somewhat talking, and I'm not bashing this guy. I had to deal with the opposite end because I believe things, mouse should be out there for everybody. I have some things about a title called Jimmy Corrigan, which as a librarian and as someone who considers themselves somewhat academic, and that book wasn't worth wiping one's derriere. But you guys, the idea of curriculum-based trauma. Now, I can understand that does have some. That is rooted from the idea when of allowing like rape survivors to leave a site class where they're talking extensively about rape. Concept is from, okay, and that actually makes sense because they had to have it. There were some profs who were being about well, you need to speak on this subject, and so really I'm not comfortable. Actual PTSD veterans trying to talk about warfare and the effects in the right class can educate everyone. In the wrong style, attack on them. So that's what the root of why they wanted to have something like this exist. Now, what kind of cowardly intellectual flaccidness exists that you can't process ideas that are uncomfortable? Now, some of them are uncomfortable, and I don't know.
Well, here's the deal, Nick. It wasn't the idea that was uncomfortable.
The content
The art
of
did not cause
Diary
the trauma.
The trauma was caused by
It
the
was
student
just
reading
because-
the art, though. That's the problem. The student couldn't handle the work.
Because it was
No, it wasn't the art. It was comments
Recall it
that
was
Crumb
because-
made. It was because his name was attached to it. It wasn't the art at all. It was the politics of the guy that
So
made
what-
the
so
art
what you
that
have-
caused the trauma.
Well, there's some.
Okay,
I've
but
read
this is
some
where you
Crumb
need to
artwork
stop
that-
and-
Go ahead, Nick.
Okay, there has to be a point of death of the author. Okay, people who don't know, it's the concept that once you have created something, right, you judge the work on the work. You know, you're talking about the idea refers disdainfully to the woke. Okay, that from a neutral perspective, that can be seen as moderately douchey, you know? But from an academic perspective on the work, unless that's reflected in the work, I see no problem. Why would you engage? We love Lovecraft's horror. Everyone, I think everybody, he's a cultural phenomenon. But Lovecraft was not just a sign of his times, he was a pinnacle of the bigoted, not misogynist, well, that's there too, but misanthropic. I mean, this guy didn't like anybody. And it shows up once in a while in his work, but we still acknowledge the quality. A lot of people get on about J.K. Rowling being a TERF. And okay, if she's a dick in whatever way you want to put it, ignore what they say, but you should still be able to enjoy Harry Potter. You know? We have to,
like,
people need to learn to separate that.
I think I brought it
Bill
up last
Cosby's
week.
comedy is still
He's still funny.
even though he's a roofie slipping D-bag. You know?
I still like Chevy Chase movies, even though he's a raging jerk.
I don't swear a lot, but asshole does apply from everything I've heard,
really
and
does,
as a
yeah.
direct quote.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean he doesn't make hilarious movies, especially during the period that it was.
And there's
So,
enough evidence to say
one thing about
he might even
college,
be
what it's
racist.
supposed. Oh, I'm sure he is. One
Right.
thing about
So-
college, and
But let me say this. Here, we haven't even gotten into what made this guy offensive to these students. He was talking to the New York Times. Crumb refers disdainfully to the wokies. And he quotes saying this: "The whole identity politics and LGBTQ stuff. I agree with it. These people need an equal share. I can't argue with that. But then people get kind of intolerant about anything that could be seen as triggering." That was his statement. That's what made him so offensive.
And see,
right?
I want everybody. I believe in supporting creators. But when people get it that way, it's like no discussion with someone, and I'm not going to name names, but they were having problems with a quality assurance issue. Okay, they were making something, and they were getting critique. In part, they were getting critique that was phrased based on stylistic one way. That's one thing. I'm like, now, I will never engage you on that because I get it. Okay? Different cultures idolize isn't the right word, but okay. It's close. When you look at the proportions of a standard superhero, especially a superheroine, they have accentuated features. You know, they're taller than proportionately humans are. You know, things like that. These are mechanics. In Japan,
Yes, I wish his
and
was better.
some of the anime, the proportions, but
Nick, we're losing you again, buddy.
You don't nail them for a touch. Ah, dang it!
Nick's got a lot to say.
I'm getting on a roll, and you know what? This is technology canceling me. That's what it is. Technology is trying to shut me up because I'm telling the truth. You know, big tech is.
I want to bring this up real quick.
Yeah.
I live in Michigan. I haven't heard of any of these complaints about the 20 complaints from U of M. I need to research that more. That's real interesting.
So, the author says the establishment man Crumb and others battled in the 1960s is now the arms-folded college scold. Okay, I find a contradiction here. Okay. In the article, it said that earlier on that it was a lot of liberal ideology that was being brought up
right
in the underground and alternative comic books. Well, if they are now in charge, then why is it that those underground comics are now being rejected? If they were writing liberal thoughts back then, what happened?
And again, you need to go and look at the material. These people are being overly sensitive. The students are looking for a reason to complain when they ought to have been. Honestly, they should have been warned at the start of the class that you're going to find material here that can be considered triggering. And if you can't handle it, don't take the class. That's like taking a class on autopsies and then complaining. Yeah. It's like taking a class on performing an autopsy and complaining because you see intestines.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nick. Sorry to step on you.
Critical Blast says 1960s liberalism is 2020's fascism to these people.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yep.
Okay. Well, see, here's what it is, and this is why it's going to bounce right back onto what's.
Oh, that's really aggravating.
It really is.
What's going
I
on?
want to hear what Nick has to say.
With games, and especially, I'm waiting for it to stop acting up.
I don't think that's going to happen at this point. You might have to go out and add to the chat.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, you're coming in and out.
You know.
We're getting three words and then nothing. Indie comics, self-published comics continue to do better than DC Marvel. The sales numbers don't lie. Even with IDW publishing, the only thing keeping them afloat is Ninja Turtles. They lost the comic license to G.I. Joe and Transformers because these stories were actually bad and focusing on Autobot Decepticons with pronouns. It's very true.
Very true.
That's why Marvel pulled the Howard license away from, or not Marvel, but the Howard estate pulled their license away from Marvel. They're doing a Milquetoast Conan, and that's not Conan.
No.
You know, you're talking a barbarian, that's blood and breasts, you know?
Yeah.
And when Marvel's not doing that and trying to make female characters step all over him, there's a problem. And Howard saw it and yanked the license. It's the same thing with G.I. Joe and Transformers. They saw a problem, they yanked the license. See, again, this guy is just trying to, it's almost like a pot stirring for nothing out of this because the definitions aren't defined. And Nick was right. They should have been able to read the syllabus and know that they were going to run into some of the works of Robert Crumb. And if you've read that stuff at all back during the underground period, the reason they were underground wasn't because of their liberal thinking. It's because they were constantly trying to press buttons. They were intentionally trying to trigger people, I guess you would say now. Back then, it was just fun because you had a chance to work outside of the Comic Code Authority and say stuff that you've always wanted to say and put down on comics or in sequential art, stuff that they always wanted to do. So you had all sorts of crazy comics out there. Crumbs talked about every taboo subject that he could think of. He did a comic on. Yeah. And that's what the underground movement was all about, is a direct pendulum swing against the Comic Code Authority.
Exactly. And so there's one thing that I agree with in this article, which is what made me ask the question about what we're talking about today. It's this statement right here. And so, as with so many other cultural trends, the world of comics has come full circle. Underground comics, at least those willing to buck leftist cultural trends, are once again banned by the establishment, which means, of course, that they're right on target. I very much like that statement. That's the whole reason.
Again, there's a
I
distinction.
wanted to talk about this.
There's a real distinction between comics and underground comics. The underground comics, they listed in their article, and it should have been noted by the article writer if they had bothered to do their research and had looked at the lexicon, the terminology. Underground comics is spelt with an X at the end for a reason.
Yes. It's
because it's adult material. Yeah. It's not meant for kids, and heaven forbid some milquetoast college kids decide that they're going to get triggered by reading actual comics about necrophilia and incest. Oh my goodness. When they were warned that this is underground subjects that went directly against the Comic Code, all this stuff's taken out of context. And one, the university should be ashamed of themselves and leave the instructor alone. But two, the instructors should be running on these students, telling them to grow up and grow a pair.
But again, it wasn't the content of the books.
Which I guess is a toxic masculinity thing. No, it's the way that they perceived Crumb to be off of a stupid documentary or what they were told in the past. They took what he is saying out of context.
No, it was an article.
And applying it back to the creator.
It was an article where he was interviewed by the New York Times.
Crumb.
It was his words.
Yeah.
In an article that made him unacceptable to them.
Because he attacked
it wasn't
the
the content. It's because he attacked the wokies. Because the wokies today are just like the Comics Code Authority bigots of those days.
Well, they're still bigots. Call them what they are.
They're still
bigots.
All
bigots. Yeah.
They're just bigots with a different agenda now.
Exactly.
What they did was they created the Comics Code Authority. The Satanic Panic. They banned. They tried to cancel Dungeons and Dragons. They did all these things. Yeah. And now, here's what a lot of people don't realize.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
The guys that created these games are now being banned from RPG games from these companies. They're now being canceled. Yeah. The people that were trying to be canceled before, when they got to where they are now, the pendulum has swung so far back to one direction that is going to start swinging the other way now.
Well, it already is in a lot of ways. You're seeing some direct results, like though this article doesn't want to talk about it because, again, it doesn't fit their agenda. The whole crowdfunding movement is about freedom of expression and freedom to do the comics, to write and publish the comics that you want to read, that you want to see out there. And that's the stuff, believe it or not, that's usually the stuff that sells. Even when, and I love all sorts of different forms of comics. And I've said before on other podcasts and that I've read comics from people with exact opposite viewpoints, politically, religiously, everything from what I believe in, that when they're well done and when they're entertaining, they actually invoke thought and make a point. That's not happening.
Right.
Nowadays.
Nick says, so what we have here is a reactive response.
Yeah.
As long as comic push a given agenda, the indies will run the opposite. Mm-hmm. They are intensely contrarian. I think that might be true. I think that whatever's accepted, it's kind of like what RJ just said here. Question authority until I have authority.
Yeah.
And that is kind of the mindset here. These people now get into these positions But again, liberal and leftist are two different things. I want to make sure that we understand that. Leftist, it's a religion for them. Politics is a religion. It's an ideology. It's like it's when you contradict their theology, it's deeply personal to them. It's like if you were to tell me Jesus sucked, right? If you tried to put down Jesus to me, it would not be the conversation would not go well. You know, it's why when I do discuss religion with people that have varying different views, I am respectful and I'm never insulting towards what they believe, because religion is deeply personal. So when you contradict their politics and their talking points and agendas, you're actually contradicting their theology.
Yeah.
Which is deeply personal to them.
Right.
Okay? And so that's what we start running into, where they see under the underground movement, which is, it's just indies doing what indies do. We make comic books based on what we want. And we make comic books that sometimes might say some things that, push some buttons. And we do it intentionally. It's comedy. It's freedom of speech. It's causing a ruckus. It's punk rock. It's what it was.
Yeah.
And what's funny to me is that now that it's the opposite now, instead of these hard-nosed conservatives trying to say, well, you can only use this stuff.
Yeah.
And you only allow people in that fit this mold. Now it's these leftists now that are there. Look, now as a Christian conservative, I was not all about the satanic panic. I was more moderate. I was in the middle of things growing up. And I think that's where a lot of the indie movement is. And that's where you're going to see those things. Like that's what it's all like. We understand that, look, that's too far and that's stupid.
Well, the thing now is that it's so easy for the uneducated to go out and find a target, take it out of context and attack it.
Yeah.
I mean, Crumb's a problem. Will Eisner's a problem.
Yeah.
Because
Claremont's
they don't understand. Claremont's a problem. Yeah. Because they can't bother to take and become educated on this subject. They just want to bounce off of whatever pigeonhole that they want to believe in or go in and fall into. And that's truly a shame. That knowing your history is how you keep it from happening again. It's that simple. And most people out there don't bother to want to learn it. They don't bother to want to put things in context. They don't want to bother to understand their freedoms or what actual freedom of expression means. And that means that you're going to say things that are going to challenge you. That's how we grow as a society. Is to have our beliefs and have our beliefs challenged, not just put up walls, claim that you're triggered, or go hide in your social media hole on whatever platform that you're safe in, because they're keeping keywords out thanks to their algorithm. It's out there actually trying to educate yourself and grow as a person.
Yeah. Nick says, which speaks to the future of current indie comics, as long as it opposes the mainstream. But when the mainstream runs more centralist, many indie comics will lose readership. They will. That's the thing. It's those. That comics code authority, that lean, that kind of stuff pushed more people towards underground comics and independent comics.
Well, we've actually lost the definitions there.
We really have.
Quite frankly, because the mainstream ain't mainstream anymore. The real mainstream out there, and if you go with the definition of what mainstream is the artwork or the works that are getting out to the regular audience, to the mainstream of society. And right now, that's manga and Scholastic. That's the mainstream. In all honesty, that's the stuff being sold outside to anybody walking into a Barnes and Noble, to anybody walking into a boxed store, a Walmart, a Meijer, all of this. A 5 and below. Absolutely. I saw that. Jason sent me pictures of their they're selling manga at $5 mangas at 5 and below. You want to be part of that mainstream, you're going to have to put yourself back in there, because since the 80s, comics ain't been in the mainstream except for the outside advertising and branding in the movies.
Dr. Crow's right. The infection in tabletop RPGs is insane. They can't even pronounce, the people in charge at Gen Con can't even pronounce Gary Gygax's name.
Yeah.
I don't know that I can pronounce it.
That's another troubled guy. Holy crap.
Yeah. Again, somebody that
all these people
a couple decades ago
are in trouble.
Was trying to be canceled by one side, and now he's being associated with the other side.
There's a big controversy over Disney now, over his political beliefs.
Yeah, we'll talk about Disney here.
Problematic.
We'll talk about Disney here in a minute too, because I think this is going to affect a lot of our audience. So this is interesting. Many people have heard of Nick Spencer. Okay, Nick Spencer is a writer who, he's done several different books. They're kind of all escaping me right now.
Are they canceling him too?
Yeah. Okay, so here's the deal. Nick Spencer's a liberal. He's a well-known liberal. He goes, remember, whether a shooter speaks for everyone or their race, religion depends entirely on whether or not they're white. This is one of his last tweets that he did. Okay. This was on, that was July 20, actually no, it was last, it was July 2016. He did that.
That's the problem with Twitter. It's so easy to take what they say out of context. He might have actually had a good intention there that everybody reads as wrong, or it could just be wrong.
Yeah. So, Nick Spencer, he wrote the Hydra Nazi retcon with Captain America.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He's a mess.
He wrote this character. Consider yourself triggered. Consider this your trigger warning, right? So he has like these kind of tropes in the comic book that are very leftist and things like that.
Yeah.
This article writer.
Yeah, I didn't realize who he was. It's hard enough to keep track of the talented people.
Right. Yeah. He wrote that controversial plotline, right? So this guy's a hard-nosed liberal, and this article actually goes through showing some of his liberalism. Back in 2016, the polls are more clear. There are not. Are more than clear. Clear there are not. Stop believing in the myth of a good Republican. Of course, many Republicans are good, nice, decent people in their day-to-day lives, and that's why people struggle with the disconnect. They don't get how such nice, understanding people, often family, can turn so evil when the subject goes to any minority or different culture, but they do. That's just the part of who they are. Point is, call it what it is instead of covering for it, expecting more. It's not blind, kind of the opposite. So it's talking about the idea that there is no good Republican, right? He is a liberal through and through. The writer, someone that wrote this article, talking about him creating tropes, and it was all about the Superboy Prime trope, where they turn Superboy Prime into the guy that lives in the basement. I don't like what you've done to you're not right heroes. You're supposed to stand for something. We need real heroes that, they didn't, it was kind of the pushback for the fans that didn't like the direction the characters were going, where they started doing plot lines that were more humanizing and did things to kind of, in a lot of people's opinion, break the character. So they created the Superboy Prime plot line where he is the hero, but he basically becomes the villain. As a trope, they kind of write him in as the fanboy that they hate, kind of, right? And that's become a trope. The person that wrote the article. So this article is about Book Riot. So one of Book Riot's most prominent SJW contributors, Jessica Plummer, penned a piece about Spencer, and in it she actually calls him right wing.
Wow.
And complains about the liberal tropes that he's put in his comics.
Well, they always got to have something to complain about.
Well, I think what's happening here is, as they're writing these tropes and they're putting these things in, they applauded them. And when we complained about them being stupid, they pointed us that we were the bad guys. Mm-hmm. Now she's trying to equate these things as he's trolling the fans. That he's trolling these liberal fans.
Oh, okay.
Now that's what she's trying to say.
Now he's against them.
Yeah. That these tropes he's put in are offensive and make liberals look bad. So he's trolling us. I.e., he must be right wing.
Just amplifies their viewpoint is all. He cuts the comics have always been down to the lowest common denominator and stereotype. Anyway, that's all he wrote. He wrote that left stereotype, and now they're resenting it. Yeah. That's a shame.
Yeah, so when he writes, consider this your trigger warning, they're complaining about this character and these kind of tropes and these things that he puts in there, right? Which we complained about him because we like, well, they're stupid.
Right.
These are dumb, right? Well, now they're like, well, he's trolling the fans that are liberals. Mm-hmm. He's doing what Superboy Prime did to fans on that storyline. That's what he's doing. So now he's right wing. When
you start going after your fan base, you're begging your sales to drop. Anyway, whether you're left or right or whatever, all of this crap needs to stop, and they need to just start being entertaining.
Exactly.
That's the whole thing.
It's all about choosing a side. It's all about.
It should never be about
politics,
other than right and wrong, black or white. You know, but then that goes back to Ditko's Mr. A. What a great work. Yeah. Anyway,
that Mr. A was great.
What a thought-provoking character. But yeah, they need to get back to an age of heroism. And some of that's toxic masculinity, but there should also be equal parts of toxic femininity as well.
Yeah.
You know,
but here's the thing: when they put their thing in, mm-hmm. now their thing is negative. They don't like how it makes them look.
Yeah.
They say, well, that's offensive. That that paints us in a bad light.
Heaven forbid I look in a mirror.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's causing. That's why I'm thinking that this leftist embrace on comics is loosening, because when they see what they've done to comics, they don't want anything to do with it anymore. They want to reject it.
Yeah, because they've literally tainted the well.
Yeah.
That's what they've done. And they've done it rather successfully for about the last 8, 9, 10 years. It needs to stop, and they need to turn it back around, or it's just gonna that part of the business is already crippled. It's just gonna die and go away.
And that's what I worry about crowdfunding. That we're poisoning the well with not fulfilling books.
Well, that's personal business responsibility.
Yeah.
And that should go back on the person. Granted, that's not the way it's going to happen for a lot of people. A lot of people have gone out and started out listening to different people's podcasts where they've invested a lot of money and they've got no return for a year and a half. And they're wondering what the heck's going on here. Is this just a large grift? And there needs to be a level of responsibility. Like somebody I had mentioned before, there needs to be an Annie's list about people that have campaigns that are irresponsible. There needs to be a level of responsibility in the business. You do that's why I don't have 3 campaigns floating right now on different projects that I want to do, because I want to get a project done before I start a campaign so that there's a level of responsibility there.
Right. We have freedom. And with those freedoms comes responsibility.
Absolutely.
Right? Yes. And that's why Fund My Comic, we understand that we want to have the freedom of expression, that people can express any way they want. But with that freedom comes a responsibility. We have to make sure that we are presenting ourselves and the company and each book in a proper way. Whether that, is content that's available on the site or whatever, there's a freedom to that. But there's a responsibility.
Before you really start talking about the good parts about Fund My Comics, I just want to go back to that list that we had before.
Yeah.
And mention, when it comes to responsibility, a lot of those people out there with those late campaigns, and you can name them, names are right on the tip of your tongue. A lot of these professionals have been in this business for 10, 15, 20 years.
Kate's Liefeld.
That shows you everybody's got their reasoning and their excuses and their stuff that, there are circumstances like with Mandy that happen that can't be avoided.
Right. Yeah.
But for the most part, a lot of these people are showing you how responsible they feel to their readers.
Bingo. If I had a bell, I'd ring it.
Fulfilling these campaigns. There we go. I ring it for
Thank you.
That's the key here. That's the thing you need to look at. Those are the people that maybe don't deserve your money. Again, these late people, these people a year and a half, 2 years down the road. Sure, everybody, when they get into this business, and crowdfunding, and said it before, is like a wild, wild west. Everybody learns as they go along. Everybody suddenly has to become, who's been there, like EVS is a grand example here. Somebody who's been in the one side of the business and they've seen the creative side of the business now has to deal with the business side of the business, and they have to become businessmen. And holy crap, how do you do that? You get a warehouse that's way too small. You underestimate demand or orders. Look at what Eric July just went through. He had to go back and reorder all of this stuff. He only ordered a certain amount of cover A, a certain amount of cover B, because he felt he'd be lucky if he moved that much product, and boom, it goes in 2-3 days.
Yeah.
These problems are always going to come up now, especially because we have the creative side having to understand the business side. And that's something we learned back in the 80s when we were doing Arrow Comics, is that there is two different sides to this business. You have to use both sides of your brain to run a successful, independent, alternative business here. You have to have the business side and you have to have the creative side, and both of them have to work equally as well in order to be successful. And it's not an easy thing to do. And you're seeing this now a lot with these independent companies, because they had it real easy when they first started out. Some of these guys who got their foothold into Diamond and became near exclusives or exclusives and all of this, and they were out to level up and go out there and be a big boss and get the big licenses and all this, and they can't maintain it because their talent wants to do an agenda. The creative side is faltering, the business side falters right after it. It's that simple. And where every crowdfund is a microcosm of that situation. There's always stuff that's going to happen that you never anticipate. Sometimes you can grow slow and steady and build, like Brian Polito, which everybody points to as a grand example, because he did the work, learned, built the foundation, and has been building up successfully, creatively, and business-wise after that ever since. Those are the examples that you need to follow, not the one, and you need to learn from the ones that keep faltering, the campaigns that go unfulfilled, the people that just mysteriously disappear, the late campaigns, the people who can't, this is the one that gets me, can't stop and do the work that they promised to do before they ask for more money to do more work.
Yeah.
Do the shit that you're paid to do now, and worry about other stuff later. Build that foundation up.
You got to have trust with your backers.
I think that's why you haven't seen an ISOM 2 campaign start up as soon as ISOM 1 shut down, is because there is such a thing as growing too fast, and you have to grab it, and you have to know enough about business to slow it down just a hair.
I have it on good authority that ISOM 2 is done.
Get your stuff stocked up. Yeah, that's what he says. He's got 2 or 3 products in the can or running. But that's an example of somebody who's taking it slow and slowing down.
Yeah.
And not trying to jump up on that bandwagon, letting the work sit out there and breathe a little bit before he starts asking for the next one.
Speaking of tabletop games, Immortal Horizon thinks that tabletop RPGs, that they're going to be okay, but Wizards of the Coast may not, because That's things like OSR and Castles and Crusaders could help defense against the blue-haired horde. Because the same thing that's happening in indie comics is happening with games. Mm-hmm. There is an insurgence of people that are going against the flow, which we have some Wizards of the Coast news to cover at the end of this, at the end of today as well. Critical Blast says Will Eisner's a problem because of his racist, sexist, and homophobic elements in his storytelling. Now give me an award in his name.
Exactly. Yep.
Right. Yeah. It just.
Yeah. You got to understand the context of the times.
Yeah. This is why on either side of the spectrum there has to be a core of good storytelling and art.
Yeah.
It has to come down to that, and it has to come down to trust to the reader. We talked about this last week, over the last couple of weeks.
Not just trust, but respect.
Trust and respect.
That's a big thing, the respect to the reader. Mm-hmm. And that's what a lot of these late campaigns...
Disrespect them.
You know, yeah.
Forget you. We're done with you.
Oh, it's your fault. You're doing this or you're doing that. You know, I'll get it to you when I'm done. Because
we talked about this the last couple of weeks with how people are... They are selling to the distributor, to the comic shop. They're not selling to the customer.
Well, their actual customer is the retailer.
Yeah.
That's why you have all the variant covers out there. Hey, you want to cover? Exactly. You want to get all 24, 26, 28 variant covers so that all your collectors will get every last one of the... Who cares if you read the book or not? The inside of the book can be absolute crap.
In my experience, and this is going to upset some people in the indie comics sphere that are watching this show right now. But if you're putting out a book and you're relying on making your numbers by having more than 2 variant covers, you probably don't have substance or content in your book. If you're relying on making your numbers by putting boobs on the cover, you are probably dealing with something that doesn't have much substance.
Because really, what are you selling? Are you selling a comic book or are you selling a pinup?
Right.
That's what variant covers are.
Hi, guys. All right. One, am I visible? Because it's amazing.
Yeah, you're good.
I started talking about calling my eye
Now you're freezing.
And raising every... Oh, no. Now... Okay. There is a lot going on, and a lot of people are making the time. If you look at what WotC's doing, WotC is trying to do the same thing that Marvel's trying to do on a... God!
He's gonna lose it. Nick's gonna lose it today.
Okay. My net says it's clear. It says I'm working just fine. You're crystal clear. Apparently, if I get too upset, the internet gets scared. It's the only thing I can figure out. So I'm going to say this as sweetly and gently as possible. Because apparently I'm Hex own internet. This does happen when I get mad. Computers have been known to explode. Be the only place that you can get content. WotC is trying to increase monetization while eliminating their competitions. They are furious that things like Pathfinder exist. And huge bonus points to whoever mentioned Crusades, which was originally created by Gary Gygax's gaming group. The original gaming group edition. The way it should stand by it. It's on my shelf. Any issues? Now, OSRs are even better. They're taking the older versions, cleaning it up, and making 5th edition better than what it could be, and doing it incredibly cheaply. Look up Basic Fantasy RPG if that's one you want. If you want to try an OSR, you can download everything free, and it's like $5. Yes, I make my own books. I am planning in 2023 to do a fantasy version of Base Plus 2. That's something, but I will still promote these guys because I believe in what they're doing. Um, now, the problem is you have corporate. Well, the sad fact is these people have no dicks. It's a tragic condition on their part, and I feel for them.
Oh,
But
that's sad.
They are just completely without wieners, and they have this problem because just like the AI worshipping morons who I put two lines together to make a stick figure, so I will steal the art of others. They want to control what we consume. This is why, and I've spent years out of fan art people, bootleggers. Stop it when the House of Mouse comes for you. They will be marching. The perimeter is weak. I'm warning you. I've spent years on your own IPs. They can't take it from you that way. All of a sudden, now they're marching. Going what? It gets funnier though when you do a little math. And I'm gonna get real political here. The IRS has hired a whole bunch of new agents, and they're focusing. What are they focusing on to get more tax revenue, dear friends? Are they billionaires and millionaires who don't pay a cent in tax, including old hair Trump, whose taxes came out and he didn't pay a bloody cent in 2020? No. See, that has nothing about politics. That's like, I pay taxes, you pay taxes. You don't, we got problems. Because if I don't pay my taxes, the IRS comes and takes my things away. Yeah. Why are they doing this? Is their son pushed there at the same time? Let's see in small creators. Because our economy is shifting to be decentralized. It is getting easier and easier for independent creators of any genre, media, format to do it without meeting the huge corporations. This scares the living cojones right of these people, okay? Because we don't, if you want to watch animation, you don't have to go to Disney. Increasingly, you can go to people like Pedro Ang and see some of the guys on YouTube. It's better quality than a lot of the mainstream. It's better quality. Mainstream's wrong. AAA is closer. Use video game terms. The guys with the big firm and the big, all the money. What's the most popular video game pretty much in the world? Minecraft.
Yep.
It was by a guy named Notch. It terrifies because generations of idiotic, self-serving corporate parasites who are set up like a human centipede, sucking and making things infinitely more expensive for everybody, are out. Food sources going away. Guys, the food source is going away. We have to stop them. And yeah, if you're stealing somebody's IP, you're a dick. Okay? If you're making money off of other people's ideas without them getting money on it, you're a dick. If you're an AI bot, it's not your fault. You don't know better, but the people who programmed you, dicks. Now, that I've been subtle.
That database that most of them use that was sourced with artwork from people that did not consent.
Yeah.
That is illegal.
I had to watch a gentleman named Shadversity. He's made sword videos forever. He's a goofball. I argue with him a lot on subject. He came out with this video expounding on how these are lies about AI and it's a good thing because he refuses to pay artists to do his projects because artists are too. I've watched this guy for decades. I'm done. I went bonk, gone. This is good because you're cheap, okay? If you're too broke to pay an artist, I can find you cheaper artists. I wish he would have reached out to me. I could have found him people who would have done it in his budget. Or you get off your lazy butt and you learn to draw. Because that's, I want to make games. I wanted better games. What did I do? I learned math. I learned the math. I'm dyslexic, dyscalculic, and underhanded. I still learned the methods to games. That's right. Agenda politics, regardless of the agenda, will always fail when it hurts the bottom line. And that's what happened in comics. That's what's happening to Disney in Phase 4, because they're rooting to the comics. The comics are the IP of the story. The story suddenly sucks. People dropped off reading those comics and started making their own. Suddenly, the multi-billion-dollar our movie superstar things all suddenly suck, and people aren't coming to watch them. Why are it's fruit of a poisoned vine. You can't have a bad story, no matter how much hype, no matter how good the special, cannot sell a bad story. Very now, this is where it can come spicy on some of the CG guys and some of the more extreme
What a story,
folks
Mark.
who are pushing back. Okay, thank you.
It's all about a good story. What a story, Mark.
It's all about it, but if your whole agenda is pushing back against using the term the wokies, I don't care. That's not my problem. But I will tell you that it's like a martial arts move. If you're putting all your force to match their resistance, and they suddenly stop resisting, you're going to fall flat on your face unless you're prepared for it. Now, I care about independent creators, regardless of what your politics are, regardless of you liking stuff. That's why when like Christy Shin, and I lost Roachball's name,
Rich Ayala.
Rich,
great people. Would I buy their comics? No, it's not my jam. But they're great people. Meeting them was a pleasure, and I promote their ability to do that. I want this crazy idea that for the First Amendment to work, everybody has to have the ability to say things, even things I don't like. Unfortunately, when people get in power, they tend to try to make the facts get shifted to what they want. And like I was saying earlier about that olive drab, it doesn't matter what you believe. When you get to the far political extremes, they curl back and you become a despot. And what I've seen is both sides try to do that. And there are so many people out there who are looking, and I'm saying this to both sides because I understand the frustration of being targeted. Doesn't matter. If you turn into the people, if you use the same kind of tactics they use, it's just making more dicks. And I'm using the word dicks a lot to not use a 7-letter word for another part of the anatomy very close to that region. Mm-hmm. Because I try to keep this civil. This is me. But what we're seeing with WotC is furious because, one, we made a whole bunch of money online. And if you're online, you can change... 4?
Never mind.
Okay.
I didn't mean to derail you, Nick. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. They want... During the pandemic, everybody stayed home. And if they play it online, WotC gets to dictate the rules, they get to dictate the content, they get to dictate what they see. And we are in an era, and you really want to get me pissed off, you talk about this, where people don't get to own the programs they buy anymore. We want subscription. We want the monies. Now, I have no problem with people making money. I support people making money. I am a capitalist. I, however, do not support dicks. And if you're...
You heard it here, folks. Heard it here first, folks.
If you are out there and you're renting the program and you don't own it, they can suddenly take it back. They can take it away. they can make you not able to use it. Why? Because they want control. That's why the digital thing is so important. Now, I am on D&D Beyond. I have used it. It is a neat service. But much like digital comics, it is not the same as having the book in your bloody hand. And the problem is D&D can be a very inexpensive to free hobby. You can do it cheaply. This terrifies them because the model of WotC, remember what WotC does. WotC is not D&D. WotC is magic. Now, I've played Magic since Alpha. As in, when it hit, I was playing it. I've played it pretty consistently since then. It's called Cardboard Crack for a reason. But they have all... The trading card industry is built on making things a commodity. That's why they went into comics, because you can make it a commodity. Now, if there's one thing that has messed up comics, even more than the political agendas, it's the idiots trying to turn it into a stock trade market.
Yes.
Because then it's all about let's make money and slab it and box it, and that's part of why
that's why we have 27 variant covers for one issue.
Exactly. And I think that's why the relatively hard to maintain floppies are still so popular. Versus like the slightly thicker graphic novels or something. They are cheap to make and they degrade, which increases scarcity. That's what they want. They want to artificial scarcity so it's worth more later, so that there's this whole market about it. The problem is they're trying to do that with D&D books. And I've been playing D&D since the mid to early 80s. I started in the basic expert champion and all that set. I know I've watched titles come and go. And what happened was we've already been through this. I am a product of the Satanic Panic. And do you know what happened because of the Satanic Panic? A whole bunch of people rebelled.
Yep.
Because it was cool. A whole bunch of people went, oh, really? Well, we're going to push harder. We're going to double down. We're going to make more books. And then you had the great feud between Gygax and his co-creators over who got control of what, which is why you got AD&D, and then basic systems. There was a huge split there people don't talk about. You got to know the history. I'm sounding a bit like Randy Zim here, but
Nick is the Zim of TTRPG.
I have walked this route, and what happened when D&D was accepted as, oh well, I guess it is just another game, and the Satanic Panic fizzled out, the sales dropped through the floor because it was no longer cool. They had built themselves up on opposition, and it tanked. And then what happened is we had a gap of time, and the world's most addictive drug started to rise up. That called nostalgia. So the people who were kids when D&D was, big and rough, they went through their lives, and then they got money, and they went, wait a second, I have money and friends. I used to play D&D.
Let's do it again.
WotC got a hold of, through all sorts of shady shenanigans, got a hold of D&D, and they made 3rd edition. And 3rd edition pulled it all together. It was streamlined. It was much better than the other systems because Gygax was a genius. I have no doubt or question about that. The man was brilliant. But he was a bit of a dick as a person, and he loved complex things. He loved to roll on a table, to roll on a table, to roll on a table to find something out. That's how the old system was. And 3rd edition went, let's make it a comparatively simpler math block. And it's an equation about that long. But it worked. People loved it. And WotC realized we'll make D&D into a collectible book game. They treated it just like Magic. And then people were interested and they wanted more, and there was some legal pressure because people were like, I like this, but I can't afford $50 a book. I'll make my own version. And they, through a whole bunch of legal stuff, the OGL was born, the Open Game License. This single action made a wondrous birth because it allowed legitimate piracy, for lack of a better word. People could take the D&D engine, modular it, and build their version, and it would be compatible. And as long as they didn't break the happy little rules on that one page, they could do whatever they wanted, and it would be compatible. And the game industry exploded. Meanwhile, WotC's like, well, shoot. You're not supposed to make that much money. Why are you still making money?
That's what it all comes down to, isn't it?
So WotC's got a bunch of
Nobody
people.
would have cared about July except he made that much freaking money.
Yeah. And see, the RPG thing went through the exact process that that the comics have gone through, that you guys talk about all the time. You got a bunch of corporate moneymakers, right? Well, we need to do something. And unfortunately, our OGL makes us look like all of the competitors we created. So the travesty, the nightmare, the gut-wrenching idiocy, the Hail Hydra moment of RPGs, 4th edition was made. Because everybody likes World of Warcraft, so we'll just secretly model it off of that. And we'll turn tabletop gaming into a video game-like experience.
Oh, that's not turning out so well for him, by the way.
It tanked hard. It nearly killed the whole system. So what happened? Now tell me this doesn't sound like stuff I do now. We'll make 5th edition. We'll go back to D&D. We'll look at what made 3rd edition great, and we'll simplify it. It'll be easier to get into, lower learning curve, faster play. People love it. And so, once again, it's sailing, and the best thing that could have happened for D&D was, and yeah, I'm leading you right into this, was this beautiful pandemic. People were in lockdown. And what they needed to mentally escape the stress. RPGs are great. And with technology like StreamYard, like we're using now, they could meet up. And the same thing starts looming. How can we make more money on this? So you have, I've done the playtests for D&D Beyond. I'm watching this carefully. They want to tailor it to being a lifestyle brand. Step back from focusing on RPGs. Make it a lifestyle brand.
What does that mean?
That means they're going to make their money through merchandise. That's why all of a sudden, for decades,
it's what Marvel and DC are doing with the movies.
It means life-changing socks.
Yes,
socks. Okay.
What they're trying to do is Star Wars is a lifestyle IP.
Mm-hmm.
Far more than Marvel, far more than any individual title. It is a lifestyle IP. It's not that people love Star Wars, it's that people want to be Jedis. You know what I'm saying? Just looking at the back of Luke's room. Exactly. That's where the money is. Lucas taught them. So they're trying to do that with D&D right now. Meanwhile, exactly.
I mean, I could go all day.
Yeah, you could. Meanwhile,
oops.
Magic, they need more money. So they tried to go digital. A card game doesn't go as well in video games. They keep trying and trying to push it. And Hasbro is in the... What is Hasbro? Hasbro owns these guys, but what do they actually do? Hasbro's a toy company.
Yep.
And what market, since tablets have become a major thing, has completely just been toy companies. Toy companies are suffering
You know,
comparatively
I was
to where they were.
musing about this the other day with my wife. My son is 13 years old, and I bought him all of the toys I had hoped to play with while he was growing up. Bought them all.
Yep.
And he didn't open any of them.
Yeah.
He wasn't interested. He was interested in the tablet. He was interested in a computer.
I'm a
He
video
was interested
game.
in Minecraft.
Yep.
The kid wants to become an electrician because he loved doing redstone builds
Redstone in Minecraft.
in Minecraft.
Right.
And he's like, I said, dude, this is what electricians do. And he's like, yeah? I said, yeah. He goes, I want to be an electrician. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
your grandfather was an electrician, so makes sense.
No, it really does. I do believe that genetic proclivities to jobs do exist. I truly believe that. I think that's why so many of the last names are tied to jobs historically. You know, it went from that's John the Thatcher to just John Thatcher.
Yeah, oh, you want to hear something else funny?
Yeah.
So we were cleaning out the garage, and this will tell you my personality. I found this little silver box, and my son goes, what's that? I said, well, it's something I'm going to keep. He goes, well, you don't want to throw it out? I said, no, never. He said, what is it? I said, well, you see right here, you attach an antenna to this little spot, and then you put an audio source in here, and then you turn this on, and you dial in an FM frequency, and it will allow you to broadcast a pirate channel to anyone with an FM radio.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, what? And I said, yeah, we might need it someday.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff I collect.
Oh yeah.
Like, and so why? And as I was telling him that, his little, his face kind of, he had a little grin on his face, and I'm like, yeah, no wonder I'm building my own crowdfunding website, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
No wonder I want to create my own industry for my business.
It's almost like it's a survivalist. And yes, Madrith, Sith is tempting too. Me being me, I thought both sides were a little too full of their own BS. So
that's why
I'm really
Mace Windu
interested to
kind
see
of
what
guy.
happens with Ahsoka. But
Yes, I've got so much Star Wars merch. It's ridiculous. Heck, I'm keeping them in business, I think.
I'm really hoping that Ahsoka goes the way that they said it was supposed to go.
yes,
I do. Me too.
That would be amazing.
Well, it's really easy. There is a great secret in the Star Wars universe. You have Dave Filoni and you have everybody else.
Yeah.
Because it's real easy. Who has access to the Bible of the Star Wars Bible of everything Lucas wanted to do and everything? Who got that book?
Yeah.
It wasn't Catherine What's-Her-Face. It certainly wasn't Disney. It was Dave Filoni. That's why, as the movies stink, the animations and the shows he's involved with all are very good. And, he was a writer on another little animated program that did well. What was it? Oh, Avatar The Last Airbender. Huh. It's almost like the man
great
knows
show.
how to write.
He said, tell a story.
Yeah. That he even threw in one of the episodes, one of the characters is getting he's kind of dueling his master, shockingly, and he goes, you're fighting from the high ground, very good. He even threw that little hint there.
Yeah.
But
it's my problem with Donnie Cates. He's a decent writer compared to what we've got in comic books.
yeah,
I mean, he's no Claremont, he's no Stan Lee.
Well, and there are only so
Not
many
even a John
geniuses
Byrne,
in
actually.
any
It's not even a
field.
John Byrne.
But there should we have to get past the extremes of it should be okay to be okay. It should be okay to open up a comic book and go, that was pretty cool, and then put it down. We have this excessive reaction where if it's not the life-changing ultimate, this is going to be the story everyone wants to know, marketability, or good God, this sucks, did you read it? Getting hype through negativity. The idea of just a good book, like a medium good book,
You know, I'm afraid the days of Jim Shooter are over.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, here was a guy 17 years old.
13.
13 years old. Published at 13.
Yep.
Yeah. See, I'm going to counter that. I'm going to disagree in that you won't have that through the traditional systems.
Yep.
But right now, kids are making great stuff.
Yeah.
It's just going straight online. And when they learn the monetization system for this,
Go to Reddit, go to Tumblr,
yeah,
go to creepypastas.
go to DeviantArt. I mean, if you want to keep in comics, I'm a relic of the wild internet in the days before everybody lived off of Google and they could streamline what you were allowed to see. Back when in little rooms, people would be like, oh, go to this website, and you had these things called bookmarks.
Yeah.
Look up the works of Bleed Man. You want to see somebody who can use somebody else's IP and make incredible stuff and then make their own. What Bleed Man did with the old Cartoon Network cartoons as comics, alternate universe, and then a few that weren't related to that. It's phenomenal work. The art is incredible. It's a very specific style. I would have called it fusion,
Dr.
but
Crow,
it's there.
it was a shock. I get the pun, and I think it's funny. Yeah. It was electrifying.
So his favorite band is AC/DC? Anyway.
Close. That's his second favorite band.
Okay,
Queen. Queen is his favorite.
There is no argument that can be made against what you just said. That is quality. I mean,
That's
that is
parenting land.
clearly an individual of quality.
Yeah.
You know, I'm oh, you listen to old white dad music.
Yeah. Gosh. I'll tell you what, I never cared that Freddie was gay. I was like, I don't care.
I listened to White Snake and Foghat and, Twisted Sister. I don't care.
They
Well,
dressed
back in
like
those-
girls, man. I mean,
Back in those days when they had music videos on MTV all the time, all the guys were in makeup.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hardcore. Most of them
Kiss
looked
might-
feminine. Didn't
Kiss
matter.
might
It was
be,
great stuff.
The first modern mass-produced boy band. I'm saying modern because
If
I
said
don't
you
know.
and black nail polish.
You still had all those
I don't
old
care.
great Motown bands.
Yeah,
coming
but they
off
could-
of
they
the
could all
doo-woppers
sing
on the
well.
corner.
they
Oh,
could
yeah.
all sing too well.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't count them as boy band type things,
Yeah.
even if they were designed, because they were just too damn good.
They
Oh, they're
they
so
more
good.
come off of the barbershop quartets
Yeah.
of the 20s and teens.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's
Yeah.
how it was.
And
I'm
hairspray them to
a
women.
sucker for
Yeah.
actual harmonies. But yeah, when hey, you know what?
We were all fine with it.
Did I judge them
They were
by
getting
their
more-
appearance, or did I listen to their freaking music?
They were getting more girlfriends than we were.
And oddly enough, that music's outselling modern music today.
It
'Cause
really
it's
is.
good.
Who can say?
It's going back to nostalgia.
Yep.
A lot of modern
It's
music
not
is
just
not
that;
good.
it's also going back to quality.
It's
Quality.
going back to quality.
Yeah.
It's going back to things not.
Now
being
I need
everything
a bell. Dang it,
digital.
Randy.
That's the problem because everything is digital now. Now I'm not going to say that selling a digital comic isn't worth it. Trust me, it is. Since we've opened up the Arrow store, and we've made sales, we've made a whole lot more sales than we made without it. That's for dang sure. And but the digital is going. But what
Yeah.
I've noticed, people will buy the digital and the physical
Yeah. Well,
because they want
the
both.
secret to that is this right here.
Yeah.
This right
Yep.
here. It's the same reason why I prefer to read books.
I love that Nick's internet's finally working.
Yeah.
After 11.
Right.
Yeah.
But I prefer to read books on paper.
Yeah.
I still have them on Kindle because this is convenient. It's not as good. I see digital comics and digital books a lot like fast food. Okay? A hamburger from a Mick joint or, Burger King or wherever, it's never going to be as good as a homemade hamburger. I'm sorry, it just won't.
But it's still not bad.
It's not bad, and when you're hungry and that's what's available, it gets real good.
I'm gonna tell you what, the first cheeseburger I had from McDonald's when I could start eating again, that first quarter pounder,
Oh my
best
God!
burger I ever had.
I understand that.
Yeah,
For me,
man.
for me, it was a breakfast.
Yeah.
I could start
Best I
eating
ever
again. I
had,
got
man.
best I ever had. Yep, best I'll ever have.
That first
Absolutely.
piece of Papa John's pizza.
Yep.
Oh, best pizza I ever had.
Now I'm more lenient to the breakfast special at mom and pop places. Love it. 2 eggs
love
over
that.
easy, some hash
too.
browns, and
Oh yeah.
that I'll have that all day long because again, best food I ever had. As soon as I was able to eat, I
Yep.
got breakfast.
It-
And
it's
and-
a
and
very
that
good
same
nostalgia,
thing-
which is a hell of a drug.
And that same thing, it's like, so here's what I love about making independent comics. What I love about making the Hybrids series in particular is that there have been several people that have found their gateway back into comics after 20 or more years
oh yeah,
through Hybrids.
yep.
It's like it makes me care about comic books again. And
Hi, my name is Nick, and I'm one of them. Flat out, I hadn't given a dang about American comics, save for the odd. And it's one thing to flip through when you walk by, but Hybrids reminded me what comics should feel like.
July says the same thing about at least a third of his sales are people that come at him and say, "I haven't bought a comic since the '90s. I'm buying yours because you told me that's what it's gonna be like." Yeah.
now
Well,
here's what I'm excited about.
Dave
Those
Briggs the same
people
way.
buying other comic books
Yeah.
in the same sphere,
Right.
because there are some that are even better than Eric's.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, they look better and okay,
Hybrids.
Eric's not a terrible writer, but he seemed inexperienced for writing comic books. I see a lot of first-time comic writers make the same mistakes.
Well, it's like
All things that can be corrected.
Dave Sims says everybody's got 2,000 lousy pages in them, and then they might be competent.
Yeah.
It's the same
almost
thing.
like
Same
you
thing
gotta-
with writing. You got to
you
get your
gotta-
legs.
You got to put in the work to get good.
Yeah.
Oh
really do.
no! I mean, oh no!
Another example I love to point out is J. Michael Straczynski.
Yes. You'll always get J. Michael a yes out of me. You say
started out-
JMS,
Phenomenal. Learned his craft writing television, writing books. Phenomenal. Starts writing comics. They suck. They're dry. They're long. They're terrible. Takes him a little bit. Gets his sea legs. Then he starts really kicking ass and starts doing
It's all right. We're
incredibly
past the first few minutes.
incredibly great work. And you can't now when I see his name associated with things, it prompts me to pick it up more than to put it down because I know he's learned how to write comics.
Yeah.
I keep telling folks he's got a great Brave and the Bold run out there that's amazing. Single issue stories, phenomenal stuff. Every last story is incredibly good, all in different directions.
Yes.
Nobody sees it, nobody talks about it, nobody wants to admit it exists, but
It's one of
Girls
the
Night
best
Out,
bit of modern comics.
amazing. Yes.
It's one of the
if
best
you
bits
have
of modern
examples
comics.
of
HBO
modern
Plus and you have a kid, okay, of cartoon watching age, being old enough to watch it or 40, they did an animated version of Brave and the Bold, Batman Brave and the Bold, and it was
the series. Yeah.
the series, and they did a fun. It was incredible because it was written. It brought back a whole bunch of Silver Age stuff.
Yeah, but the majority of those stories that they animated were originally Brave and the
really
Bold
done by-
comics. Yeah.
Right.
Drawn
And
by Jim Aparo and written by some of the best comic writers around, and everybody took a turn. Elliot S. Magan, Alan Bennett. There's all sorts of phenomenal writers that was on that run. Yeah,
And
some great stories.
the reason I'm mentioning this is we have to talk about nostalgia for the longevity of independent comics.
Uh-huh.
Now, because I've been watching, like I said, I've been watching the comics field from somebody who kind of veteran fan of the RPG arc, and I'm seeing the exact same arc. What brought RPGs back? The people who played them when they were young went through the grind years of their life. Because let's be honest, you're about mid-20s to mid-30s, that 10-year period. You're working and sleeping the vast majority of the time. I mean, you're just laying it down. And by around 40, if everything plays right, you've stabilized, whatever your level is, and you start to miss the things that you were able to enjoy. You remember what you're working for besides putting a roof over your head. If we want comics like Hybrids to reach the level where it doesn't stop when Luke stops making them, we have to find ways to lay seeds in people while they're young to build that nostalgia that will grow later. Mm-hmm. And that's why a lot of people kind of poke me, and I think hi Joe Bachman, a couple people have actually come at me because I talk about cartoons a lot. And you have to understand that what's going to bring kids into comics are cartoons. And 68 Batman was a live action cartoon. It was glorious, but that's what it was.
It is.
So was Wild Wild West. They were live action cartoons, and I miss that. Mm-hmm. I miss that as a feel and a concept. But it brought a lot of people into Batman. And then, when they watched that when they were little, and they're like, I liked it, but I'm older and I have more mature tastes. That's okay. What, you're 13 to 15 and you're feeling the edge that everybody goes through? We have some dark, edgy Batman for you. And and then you go into it.
Yeah.
The other thing is, especially with the passing of Kevin Conroy.
Kevin Conroy, yeah.
I'm going to say his name wrong, probably. But Diedrich Bader is the guy who voiced Batman in Batman the Brave and the Bold.
Okay.
And he was one of the really dorky guys from the Drew Carey Show, is where a lot of people would know him. He was phenomenal. And and they covered some, even though it was a very light program, they covered some heavy stuff. As in, Batman meeting the guy who killed his parents and stuff. At points they went dark. They had actual death of a superhero. Things you wouldn't expect in that kiddie of a format. Because it, like you said, it wasn't insulting to the viewership.
Yeah.
And when you don't insult children and you give them room to understand complex things, you know what happens? You get smarter kids. You get kids who can critically think. Mm-hmm. And then you have better fans down the line.
Yeah.
So this is why... Oh, cool, Hojo. This is why I think, and I push so hard for, if you are doing an independent comic, start reaching out to people like Pedro Ang, especially. We should be working that man senseless. If you have the money to do it, and he deserves every cent, to have him cranking out a Hybrids cartoon, Dave Brink's Perfect 10,
Herobot Zero.
Herobot Zero would be great. Look at what Mike Jimmy's doing.
Spank the Monkey. Yeah. Anyway.
Spank the Monkey would have to be an Adult Swim style thing. Oh no, y'all remember Adult Swim? Remember how good that was? It sort of became the jump from the people who watched either Japanimation in the old days. Yes, I'm that old. And watch MTV when they did things like Aeon Flux,
Liquid Television.
Right.
Yeah.
CG.
The Alex Winter Show.
Yep. I love Robot Chicken.
Robot Chicken. Yep. Love Robot Chicken.
I love it's embarrassing to me because it's so stupid, but I love C Lab 2021. That show was
It was Parker. Love those guys.
Right.
Yeah.
If we want
Cannibal the Musical was brilliant.
Say what?
Cannibal the Musical.
Oh, okay.
Was brilliant.
And Woodrow's right. Cartoons and video games brought a lot of hobbies. They make people do. A lot of people start tactics gaming from video games. A lot of people start, comics from cartoons. Why do you think I'm teaching myself C# to learn Unity right now? Why am I putting myself through essentially an unpaid for, uncredited college course on programming?
Because it's not enough.
Because Big Stumpy Robots needs to be a video game.
Yeah.
It needs to be a comic. It needs you need to diversify the way you bring things in. Yeah, see, the dogs agree. They're excited about Big Stumpy Robots. And you should be too. It's available on Amazon.com/.
Sorry about that, folks.
But see, the dogs want you to play Big Stumpy Robots. And you can't argue with dogs. They're usually right.
My gosh.
It's Attack of the Dogs.
Hey, you know what? I have never failed to trust when a dog doesn't like someone. If a dog doesn't like someone, I have a problem with them. And if someone doesn't like dogs, I have a problem with them.
Right.
It happens every time.
We don't have problems with intruders here.
No.
I mean, the ADT sign outside, the dogs, and the grumpy redneck that lives inside. So 24i says this: creators in CG need both an independent website and an aggregate website. Independent sites so the money stays all in-house, and something like CG Now for active campaigns and websites are not enough. That's true. Doing something like you've got to have more than a website to do this stuff. Like you've got to get out in public too. Yep. I think.
And we all have to cancel proof ourselves. Yes, even you, Luke. Social media right now is so unstable. That's why my buddy Joe Bachman set up andThe CD.org, the Independent Creators Directory. The idea is that that's going to be a white pages for independent creators, and the level of not caring what your political alignment is so huge for that. Folks should be reaching out, because that way, see, I believe in shopping small, right? So if I believe in shopping small and I want to buy comic books, I'm going to look, if I'm not buying from just the Arrow stack, because why wouldn't you assume to start at Arrow? I'm going to look at the independent creators first.
Hojo,
you got something?
I'm gonna say something. I hope this doesn't offend my friend Hojo. But I know a lot of these creators, have always wanted to pitch their books to publishers. So they're creating pitch packages. And they're pitching to publishers that quite honestly don't give two hoots about them. They probably, if they can get in, they're going to look at their politics. They're going to look at their social media. They're going to look at who they're associated with. Because now it's all about your clubs and your tribes. It's not about the content of your book.
Yep.
If you want to support a publisher, try to support publishers that don't give two shakes about what you've got in your bios on Twitter. Those are who you go for. That's who you support. Because those people care more about what's inside the book than what's inside your bios.
Yep.
That's what's important. And so when I see new creators do this, I wish them the best of luck. I want them to be successful. But I've learned that now if you're friends with me, some people are going to cancel you.
Yeah.
I just found out this week that this show gets simulcast streamed. It gets picked up and popped into a CG website.
A CG website? It's literally comicsgate.org under your Comicsgate approved creators site.
Mm-hmm.
So the level I was laughing because I got told this by someone else because they thought it was funny that Luke's like, well, I don't have to fly the hashtag whatever. It's like,
don't.
dude, you are listed. You are rank and file. You are in the registry.
What can I say? They love me.
But
they love me over there.
That's
I'm telling you what, my fans that are CG fans are the best fans in the world. They are supportive. They back every book. They share every campaign. They are encouraging. They engage about the stories. Here's how I know they read the stories. Because they will message me and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that. Like, I get to talk about the characters in everything that they are. They don't talk about politics. They don't talk about who I voted for. They talk about the characters and they support what I'm doing. And I would never, ever say a disparaging word towards my Comicsgate fans and the Comicsgate creators who supported my family with their own dollars while I was in the hospital fighting for my life. Those people are salt of the earth. Those people are what make comic books a great industry to be a part of. And you know what? I don't have to fly the hashtag. I don't have to, and I don't need to. You don't have to pick a side, but sometimes a side picks you. And I think that's the truth. And what's happening right now is the leftists, the people that are religious about their ideology, they are seeing the problem with independent comics leaving them and saying, look, it's not about, the wokies. When everything, man, I remember in the 90s it was all about being politically correct. And we said back then PC culture was going to get out of hand and was going to get crazy. That it was a slippery slope that we were going down. And people thought we were being facetious when we said that. But we were not. We knew that when it was okay for Dennis Rodman to marry himself, that things were going to get really weird. It's like, we're not getting better from this.
And see, my response to all that weirdness is the same as my response to just about everybody. Is everyone involved consenting? And does it directly affect me in a negative way? If it is not, if everybody involved is consenting and it doesn't hurt me, it's none of my business. And I really wish more of the world would start going, hey, why do is he a wackadoo? Sure, he's a wackadoo. We need to bring back phrases like wackadoo. We need to bring back phrases like that aren't necessarily malicious, but acknowledge the weirdness, Like
Hojo, I'm going to tell you right now, I think that you should send that pitch packet to Randy. I think Randy needs to see it.
Pitch packet for what?
For Hojo's book, The Mythicals.
Okay.
I think you need to see that.
I'm
really excited about that book this year.
Oh yeah, The Mythicals looks neat. Because I've been watching it come by through, and Hojo's just a heck of a writer. But
we were talking about ad space. 24 Eyes. Talking about ad space. I do ad space in my books. In fact, Pixel, who just joined us on the panel, has an ad in Hybrids number 9.
Groovy.
Welcome,
Yo.
Pixel.
Hi, Pixel.
Hey. Well, hello there.
Okay. Before anything else happens, because I'm terrible about remembering who does what, names are not my strength. The frankly, Ariel, your Mermaid is one of the neatest concepts and most funny parodies I have seen put out there in a long time. I'm serious. I am very pro redhead, On top of everything else, I like redheads. Yes, people can quote me on that. But that's just a great title, and the art is fabulous. But please continue whatever you're here.
You know who the artist is, don't you? Eric Hodson, who just did American Bliss.
Yeah,
that
is the artist on that.
So right now, Eric hasn't done any of the concept art and stuff for the thing. So let me step back for a second. So Ariel started as a complete, I'll call it a shitpost. It was a joke created with AI art to make fun of the Little Mermaid movie that was getting rid of the whole. Well, people were getting bent out of shape because of the character, because of the casting and whatnot. And so I'm like, let me poke the bear a little bit. And so I went, and we were messing with AI art and kind of playing around and stuff inside of our Genesis Crew group. And I'm like, I'm going to try this out. And so I did. And what emerged from that process was a image that I thought was cover worthy. And so I did some doctoring on it, gave her the red hair, put the logo and stuff on it, threw it online, and it blew up. And within a day, there was like, I don't know, 300-400 likes, been shared out a bunch of times. People from Disney had seen it. And and at that point, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I need to put the team together. And so I did. And so Eric was brought in. Piper was like beating down my door wanting to write it. And so I said, okay, let's pull the team together. Let's do this. So later this year, we're going to try to pitch this out and see if people like it. I'm going to try to launch it right around the time that the new movie comes out. So we're going to be in the May period, maybe a little bit before that, so we can kind of ride the swell as they're doing the promotion for it. We're going to be like, hey, if you don't like this, we've got this hyper-violent, crazy thing over here that you might like. And
the design for Sebastian.
Yeah, we're calling him Stab Bastion. Yeah.
Stab Bastion is brilliant. Dude has a knife, like, attached to one of his... What are they called? Mandibles?
Claws?
Yeah.
Well, one of his claws was damaged during his escape from a kitchen, and he's kind of this like grizzled war vet kind of thing. And so he taped a knife to his hand, and so now or claw, and so that's how he defends himself and fights. And so he plays a major role in the training of Ariel when she becomes militarized. And so you're going to see this transformation of her as she gets this. It's a fun concept. I can't wait to talk about it more.
Piper is a fantastic writer, and her first writing debut is with Rift Writers. But she's got great ideas and very good with character development. So I know this book is going to be really good. I'm a fan of Eric. He's done a work for me that has been published in the back of a book, but hasn't hit the full first issue yet. But yeah, very good work. I'm excited about it. I've got a fan art that I'm working on for Ariel.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And see, this is the perfect example of what I was talking about hi. Okay, Nick, don't get distracted by redheads. Come on, Nick, focus. Damn. Oh God. Anyway,
this is going to offend so many people. Like on so many levels, they're all going to be offended.
Oh, that's glorious.
It's going to be great.
But what I was talking about, I'm keeping my thread, I'm trying, I was talking about how when there's push, there's counter push. So Ariel's going to be at its strongest when Disney is pushing Ariel and you have all the hype generated.
Mm-hmm.
The trick
100%.
will be, if you want to keep it going, making sure that it's good enough that when the pushback hype goes away, I mean, assuming that you're not, completely raided by Disney's stormtroopers.
That's a great idea, 24 Eyes. This is a great idea. And 24 Eyes, message me on Twitter about this idea. Don't let me forget about it, because it's not like I don't have enough things I'm starting right now. I think I can.
Luke,
I think
Luke,
I can
I
manage
love-
one more entrepreneurial.
No, Luke, I love you,
adventure.
brother. Please, please. If you spread yourself any thinner, you won't be able to hold the sandwich together. Just be careful. I worry that you've got the peanut buttery goodness that is Luke Stone is spread across such a broad piece of
Gooey.
bread that the top won't even stick anymore. So please,
No, we're doing good,
please
man.
be careful.
We're doing okay. I just,
Okay.
I do focus on mental health. I make sure that I didn't stream Tuesday night because I just needed a break. We don't have a ton of viewers on. It's not like Thursday morning, where we get a lot of people coming in and out. Last
Well, that's
week
because I'm
we
here.
almost had a lot of views. We had a lot of views in post last week on Thursday. We've been getting a lot of rage watchers. I love rage watchers.
Well, then I bet they had fun with me calling everybody dicks. And, if that's the case, well, it won't be the first person I've annoyed.
Oh, we'll
But,
get some comments.
Oh. That is okay. But I want to see, one, how good would it, at least, because it wouldn't take much. I can't do it. But how cool would an Ariel the Mermaid side scroller be? Like, make it look like Echo the Dolphin, but with violence. See, I have to be careful. I'm an idea guy. They come out straight line out of my mouth. And Luke is he makes things happen. So I have to be very careful what I say around him, because next thing I know, there'll be an LLC formed, and he's got some like Panamanian programmers working on, Hybrids, the multiplayer RP MMO.
It's coming.
Nice.
That's
But-
on my to-do list for 2024.
Oh, good. No, see, that at least gives me a year to breathe, because I know once the Hybrids Core RPG book goes, and I already had people asking me, Nick, when's the fantasy book being done? Come on.
Yep.
Nick. It's like, I have
The
things.
fantasy book's gonna be good. So let's talk about this for a second, guys. Disney sues online retailer over knockoff merchandise.
Yes.
So here's the deal. There's a lot of knockoff merchandise out there. Okay, we see it all the time. 24 Eyes, we're just talking about conventions. There is bootleg merch everywhere. A lot of it, even some of the fan art that I see out there, is just photographs that have been ran through filters.
Yep.
And these artists are claiming that they drew them. You can tell. If you're a graphic designer, artist,
Yeah.
You know the difference between something legit and something not legit. We know that Marvel in the past has walked convention floors and
I've seen
shut
it,
down
guys.
fan arts.
I have. I'll say it. I've said it. The skeeziest looking dude in a suit that cost more than my car was flanked by two sheriffs, and he had a tear off pad of cease and desist orders. It was literally a custom made. They went to a printer, had them printed off, and glue it so it was just a pull off pad. And he was just bam, fill in, doink. If you don't, you will be shut down. Bam. I saw people pulled right, their booth shut down. The convention guys are like, okay, you need to leave. And escorted off the property, shut your booth down and go. Bam, bam, bam. And I've been warning people that this could happen for years. It's happening.
So,
Draw your own art.
well, Nick, this is something we talked about before.
Yes.
And this is brought up in our group. We have a green room group for Nerd Bacon that we talk about kind of what we're going to be discussing on Thursday morning. So everyone
Yes.
can come in with an opinion or an insight.
Because we're all short on those.
Yeah. And so one of the things that was brought up was how it looks like they're deciding that it's easier to fix a lot of little leaks
Yep.
than the big leaks. Because the truth is, the little leaks add up.
Yes, and
know?
none of them. If Disney targets you for something that they claim is a knockoff, and God help you if they sue you, you can't beat them because they just have the money. When I've been watching this for so long that when I set up the world for Big Stompy Robots, and I started doing it in 2007, I've been at this a while. I made the first two factions fictionally. I made one was the IRS. The first mech I ever fully designed was the IRS auditor. I'm serious. You can look it up. And the next one was the Walsofta Coalition, which was a blend of Walmart, Microsoft, and Disney. They all became a single corporate entity, and their company security forces were the most powerful army on the planet in the original, version. This is coming, and I'm hoping folks who haven't had this come take their stuff down ahead of time. I hope
Here's what you need to see: the Secret Disney Group. That's who they went after. It's a group called the Secret Disney Group for allegedly selling knockoff merchandise, including masks and Mickey Mouse ears. Allegedly.
And the company has to say, the reporting has to say it allegedly, even though the proof is literally
in the name.
Well, it's in the name, and they show screenshots of the page farther in the article, But go on.
Yeah, the unauthorized trademark use, including imagery from Star Wars, Little Mermaid, Lilo and Stitch, Winnie the Pooh, Cinderella's Castle. So you don't need to get into the whole article.
They literally took, in some cases, Disney produced art and mirrored it.
Yeah.
And they thought that was enough to put it on a mask and sell it. This is why I say, if you're going to do parody work, don't be stupid.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, The Little Mermaid, I believe, is public domain.
It is. So there is some things about it though. Like the name Ariel is from what I understand is actually a Disney thing.
Yes.
Like her name isn't Ariel in the book. So technically we can't use the name Ariel, which we're not using. In fact, her name I don't think is even going to be Ariel in the actual book. We're probably going to do something a little bit different. I'm doing the play on words with the AR-13L because I was trying to do the whole AR-14.
Right.
AR-15. But regardless, we're going to try to skirt that as much as we can. Eric, obviously that character the name doesn't exist in the book. We might use the name Enrique because he's actually a drug lord gun runner, but and that's where she actually winds up with the weapons. And so I got a whole, man, you're gonna love this thing. But we're still trying to figure out things. Sebastian is a parody on Sebastian, but we're seeing
yours sounds like it will be able to exist if
it falls
something
under
like
parody law.
Yeah, that
Satire.
definitely comes under parody.
You'll be able to get away with it under satire law real easy. Yeah.
We're trying to stay closer to the original story, but have elements that poke fun at the Disney one, and that's it. We're throughout the entire thing. We're not going to be using any type of Disney font or anything like that. We're not going to go anywhere near that. We're going to try to do as much as we can to make it people understand that it's not the same thing. Although I was in Disneyland dropping merchandise here and there, stickers and things, but
You gotta be careful. They'll get you with facial rec now. You heard about that lawyer who tried to see the Rockettes with her kid. They might not let you in again.
They might not.
Oh yeah, China, and I have an interesting opinion on piracy. Because when you are poor enough, piracy starts feeling a lot different than when you can afford to actually buy things. 100%. And China rips everybody off, and Russia rips everybody off. That's why I've saw on a site copies of the Simple Sword going for ludicrous amounts of money internationally that I had nothing to do with. They were bootlegs that somebody was selling. You have to accept that anything you create at some point will be bootlegged by China. They follow a different set of laws. They can do it. I see that as a natural loss. It just happens. And, let's be honest, I think most kids at one point downloaded illegal music. At one point, you downloaded
I used to pirate software.
Yeah.
I won't lie, I used to pirate it like hardcore.
Well, yeah,
that's how I was able to afford Photoshop.
Well, and that's the trick right there. The profiteering that's going on in the price inflation and just sheer greed on so much will always breed piracy. It will breed piracy and homebrew, and it infuriates. WotC just went on after a program that let people, guys had it up for years, make bootleg magic cards. And they were making knockoff magic cards for humor. He made no money off the site. Nothing. But some people were using it to bootleg to sell them, as in counterfeits. Yeah. And I think that's where it overstepped. He made a tool for fun use. Yeah. But because somebody misused it, should he be punished? I don't think so.
China automates piracy. Remember the bot that would scan Twitter for, I wish this was on a t-shirt, then automatically make t-shirts with that reference image?
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of t-shirts, let me share my screen again. Right now, on the there are two websites.
Nice.
You can go to my website, lukestonestudios.com, and go to the Nerd Bacon section, or you could go to the Arrow Comics website. Go to the comics section.
Arrowcomics.store.
Arrowcomics.store. And there's an apparel tab now. You can buy Death Can Wait, I'm Making Comics t-shirt.
Beautiful.
Oh, that's...
you can buy Spank the Monkey 1 too if you want.
You can also buy Spank the Monkey.
Yeah, 1 and 2. In color.
$20 for the t-shirt. Goes all the way up to 5XL.
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 I like them big.
Okay, I have to say something.
That's what she said.
That I am both mild. It's so vaguely tasteless. It fits this conversation. Why isn't Spank the Monkey cover cleaned up a little bit a t-shirt?
It's never done it.
I mean, I hate to say it, but with the monkey and
it would be a great t-shirt.
To be a truly offensive and terrible. Like, it will show up on people of Walmart, or someone will get in trouble for wearing it to Disneyland or something, and then you'll get a bunch of press. But I'm sorry, go on.
I have a whole line of Spank the Monkey t-shirts designed up doing different things, like Spank the Monkey while driving, and it's got a picture of him leaning out the car window, and he's going, "Of course, I drive a stick."
Oh God! You know what? I'm old enough. Remember the Happy Bunny? Y'all remember the Happy Bunny stickers? We're old enough. We had to buy our own memes.
Yeah.
I don't remember the Happy Bunny, but I remember the shirts. Big. What was it? Big Johnson.
The Big Johnson shirts. Yeah, I have some of those still.
Man, those things were.
Those got banned at school.
Yep.
Yeah, they did.
What's funny, the brand, I actually got in trouble because I had a shirt that was by them, and all it had was Big Dog, and a dog that big, and it was enough to.
Yeah, somewhere Disney's probably got some closed circuit camera video of you applying any of them stickers.
Oh,
I didn't apply them. I just discreetly placed them throughout the Adventureland and whatnot. So I didn't deface any property. I may have littered a little bit, but I didn't deface any property. So
have you attempted to go back?
Gotta be careful.
I have. We can talk some more off.
Okay,
live.
I'm curious.
Yeah, he can't dox himself too much here.
Yeah, I can't dox too much, but yes, I have been back, and but nothing has happened so far. I'm sure they're looking for me. I'll have to shave or something so they don't recognize me. But there's that.
Troll Dolls shirts.
Yeah,
I do.
Why? Yeah.
So,
my granddaughter loves trolls. Just loves them.
That's awesome.
Like back in my day, they didn't have any clothes on. Yeah.
Big Dog, Big Johnson. Oh wow.
Yeah, Big Dog, Big Johnson shirts. Yep. So, all the artwork for the Little Mermaid has either been done by me or I just actually got a piece back from Jose Garcia, which is awesome. But I was attempting a couple different style things, but the original. Hold on, let me go back here quick. This one right here was what started it all.
Yeah.
And this was the AI art, and I think I may actually have somebody recreate this for me. I haven't decided who I'm going to have do it yet, but I think I'm going to reach out to an artist that I really think can kind of nail this type of style and have them redo this. So I want something very similar to this, at least to call back to the origins of it, but obviously not have the AI art itself on the book. I have an interesting concept about AI art where I feel that it's a great ideation kind of concept builder, great for building out color schemes and getting your idea across, but I don't think it should be used in production art as the final piece.
Yeah, I think it's perfectly suitable for mood boards.
Roughs.
Exactly.
Which, I mean, mood board, that's the thing I never thought I'd say in my life.
Mood board?
Yeah. Why waste so much effort and time coming up with just a couple little concepts to present to somebody that are never going to be used? Yeah, when you can get a couple things out there, kind of get the feel and vibe for it. They can even go do it themselves and come back to you and say, here's kind of the thing I played with for a couple of hours. This is kind of where I'm thinking I want to go. Can you do this for me? And then you take it and say, yeah, let's work with this, and then rebuild it, do whatever you need to do, and you have built upon something that was referenced from other places, whether or not it was somebody else's art or not. That part doesn't matter anymore because it has become transformed.
That makes it the transformative process. That's no different than going to Google and saying, Google castles.
Exactly. If I'm going to do some sci-fi armor, I'm going to look online. I'm going to look at how other people did sci-fi armor. I'm going to look at artists that I respect that have done the stuff before me, and I'm going to reference how they did it. It's no different. And so that's the way I look at it. It should never be the final product, final destination, but it can definitely be a way to get you there, and then you build upon it. Anyway, so that's where it started. Then it went to this, which was a kind of a mood piece I was trying to build. Like, we're going to do the book in black and white and red. So it's going to be mostly the blood and hair are going to be in red. But we're going to do kind of a noir.
So good. See, that needs to be poster, like movie poster size. And that needs to be a movie. I see that and I'm like, okay, when Xander goes to sleep, I want to watch this movie. I'm not going to lie. The title and stuff has the Asylum Productions feel.
100%.
And I am absolutely here for that because that's, Sharknado is considered, quality viewing in my home. I grew up with Svengoolie and Elvira. I'm not going to change. And this is such a mood anime piece.
This was my attempt to try to recreate the kind of Japanese, Asian artist kind of sexy vibe that you see on Twitter and stuff.
Sure.
It actually goes more manga than anime. I really do think it looks just a touch more Korean. I believe manhwa's Korean.
That's even fine too. I was actually Cute Sexy Robots is the artist that I was attempting to kind of vibe the style.
Okay, from. Yeah. Then
I kind of got there. It's not quite right. I mean, they're so much better than me, but this is kind of my thing. I like to try to attempt other people's styles and build upon it.
That's how you learn. Yeah. I mean, as an artist, even if you're not putting it out there, that's how you learn. And that, oh god!
I like this one.
This is Jose Garcia's piece.
That just okay. Let's go down the checklist of Nick things. We've got classic '90s fusion. If we take the best of Western and the best of anime, squish it together, we get something badass. Big monster, almost cyberpunk sky, and yes, Sebastian is my hero. I'm a big fan of crabs, the aquatic creature. Hush, Luke. This image right there, man. I'm waiting for the music to start up. Give me some of that old-fashioned '90s anime ultra-violence right now on a plate. I want that with a side of mac and cheese with some cayenne pepper and bacon bits. I am not playing here. Everything about that is juicy.
It's fun. The word you're looking for is fun.
That's the key. Yep.
Yeah.
And fun and irreverent. There is no doubt of what they are doing right here. Wow, it's like that mermaid has a big booty. Yes, she does, and she has a big old gun, and her buddies, a sword wielding psychopathic crab, and I am here for this right here.
This is going to be a fun release, man.
If you could throw the money at that artist and do a whole panel. Yeah, Nick is in love. You're right. I unabashedly, I love beauty. And
this is where he started as a concept. He's kind of changed over time, but the main thing that hasn't changed is this kind of taped on blade where the stumpy kind of claw was, and that's his thing. He's got a cigar in his mouth.
Fiddler crab who's replaced the big one with the sword. God, you don't understand how much I love this. No, let me explain. There are layers here. I got to peel this back a bit. People were pursuing me to like explain my martial art style in Eastern terms, the way I teach fencing. Mm-hmm. And I said golden fiddler crab, because it's a low stance, one long sword, one short sword. And I learned from a guy who had arthritis, and that's how he moved. He moved a lot like a fiddler crab because he had limited motion. So that looks like the crab. It's scary how much that crab reminds me of my old instructor. I'm not being facetious. I mean, it really... If we were still on speaking terms, I would be sending him that, and I may just anonymously do that anyway, because that is so good. This is the kind of title. When I look for comics, guys, I'm going to say some truth. I am done as a rule with the tights and cowls crowd. Okay. Now I make an exception for hybrids because it's just that damn good, but as a rule, I am done.
Cowls.
See, now you need to have some D-bag throwaway character who tries to have a Batman-ish cowl and just fails. Make him like a bunny or something.
Oh man, I have so many ideas.
He just got birthed in the universe.
Well, this is what happens. I message. Now I really want to draw Bunny Man or whatever. Oh god, the Bunny Man bridge, the Psycho Killer. Yes, things are being born in my head. I can't stop the show to draw. Dang it! But this is a title worth following. I don't know if we were planning to shill for this, but when it's time to shill for this, we need you here to shill for this.
Absolutely.
Normally I'm like, hey Luke, we got to talk about this off screen, because I try to do things like that, but this one, like, I don't think we have to talk off screen. That's just. Nick has no love for Scratch. What's Scratch? I may not know the reference. I'm sorry. Agent Zero said that in the comments. But
Scratch is Chrome Dog.
Oh! Well, I don't count that as a superhero book either. It's more sci-fi than superhero. Like, it doesn't feel cliche. because like if I have to, the only thing worse than seeing freaking Ben Parker die again is watching, you know, Benville Parker die, you know, or you know, Bennett Parquois die. You know, it's like, come on, give me something new, and or give more pockets, not full pouches. Leadfield, call your roll, but like Spidey needs some at least cargo shorts or something. You know, just.
But that's kind of what Miles is.
No, you know what?
Right there.
Miles has grown as a character, and with some decent writing, he's not bad.
Right.
I want to say that. I did not see when they started allowing overlap. When you still have Peter Parker and you have Miles, now you have a new arc, and you know that's good writing because it's not zero sum. You're not taking away Peter Parker and giving us Miles as a forced conversion to diversity.
I didn't like that character at all until the cartoon.
Exactly. The cartoon
was amazing. It's like,
It really
okay,
is.
understand the character now. That's all I need. That all right, he's cool.
and that's
Yeah.
that's why it's almost like we need the cartoons,
Yeah.
because you take writers think in novels, whether they want to admit it or not, and then comic book formatting becomes very journalistic in that
Yep.
you have to minimalize, let the artist take the unnecessary
Now he's freezing.
words and make it images. I sometimes have trouble writing comic scripts.
You're gonna have to calm down, Nick. You're starting to freeze up again.
But and you know what? I don't know if my volume is too much. I literally, people think I joke about this, but the cartoons that
Now he's really freezing.
Yep.
then take it to the next level.
Well, he wasn't freezing up, Pedro. He wasn't freezing up until just now. We had a good long while where we had.
He was
Crystal
good at
clear Nick.
right about 11 o'clock when he come on. He was really
Yeah.
good.
Yep.
Good for about an hour and 15.
Yeah.
So
Yep. But
Yeah.
speaking of that, it is after.
yeah, we
Is
should.
my
wrap.
audio okay, or am I just?
Your audio's good, but it's after 12. I think it's about time that we get to work. We're talking about making all these great comics and stuff.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the conversation today, guys. Thank you, chat, for being here. I think it's an interesting thought that the pendulum is swinging. Now, where the underground was rejected by the right many, many years ago, now the underground the independent world is being rejected by the left. I think that it's going to swing back again, and eventually the fan base is showing where they're going. They're going to manga, and they're going to independence. That's where they're at.
Blue Teddy wants to ask if Pedro's the one that's actually freezing Nick.
He might be.
Might be.
Might be Pedro's fault.
It's that signal from Panama.
Well, you see, I am so ugly, and Pedro is just so universe won't let us be together too much on the screen. It's too much.
Bad for the signal.
But I think the trick is we just got all the money. No, none of these agenda movements will last if they don't make money. And that's what it is. So, what does that mean to the creators? Make sure your stuff can stand on its own. Make sure your titles can function without being a response to the negativity out there.
Yep. You can't be making comics to own the libs or to own the conservatives. Can't do that. It's not what it's about. If you are if you're creating religious propaganda, it's not going to work. You've got to have a story, and you've got to have a passion behind it. It can't just be can't be more propaganda is the only word for it.
It's got to be entertaining.
Yeah, it's got to be real.
In order to build a readership, in order to build any type of memory, you have to allow people to lose themselves in your work. And you have to be competent enough to make it entertaining enough for that to happen. That's what's important. That's what comics is. Really. Comics isn't necessarily... The comics have never really been propaganda. They've been propagandic, but they've still been entertaining on top of all of that. Why do you think Wonder Woman's so popular? Early right. Wonder Woman's got a huge message out there, done by a man who's still considered to be a deviant to this day. But the stories were great. They were entertaining, and they caught on, especially with older readers.
And the rope industry loved his work.
And the woke industry loved his work.
True.
The only left and right issue I'm concerned with in comic books is turning the page.
There you go. And even then, you got mangas. So yeah.
Which
maybe that's what we need. Maybe we need to rewind some of these comics.
I'll be honest. There's some mangas good enough to read that I'm willing to do it in reverse.
Yeah.
That's what she said. Sorry.
That's what she said.
All right, guys. It is time for us to close it out today. We need to get out there and be productive. Pixel, thanks for joining us today. Merkmaid looks very, very interesting.
Great.
Be sure to check out indiecron.com. Tomorrow is a big day, 7 p.m. We're going to be having a large multicast. We are going to be talking about fundmycomic.com. Here's a quick little bumper just so that you guys can... 3 pillars that we do everything on. It's freedom of expression, fierce independence, and trust. Okay, we have to have trust with the platform, trust with the creators, trust with the fans. That's what we're trying to build that on. We want you guys to be as independent as possible. This thing is going to be loaded full of features that allow you to take more control of your campaign, of your product. And, man, this is all about you being able to create your books without the fear of being canceled. Too much of that stuff's going around. So check that out tomorrow night, 7 p.m. We're going to be live streaming from here and many, many other places. You'll be able to find us. We are very excited about the launch of this book. So the sign up starts tomorrow. Be sure to sign up. If you've messaged me, I'll let you know in an email that it goes live tomorrow and what time it goes live so that you can click off and go there and do that email thing, sign up. Anyone who signs up is put into a lottery. We're allowing a certain number of people to have early access. On the 10th, you will be able to go in and start creating a campaign. All campaigns will be in draft mode. Okay, you can't go live until the 16th, but you'll be able to put in your graphics and all of these things. And so we'll be working with people that whole of next week to get that ready. On the 16th, we go live. The site is open for anyone to sign up. Anyone can start creating a campaign, and anyone can back a campaign that's live at that point. We have 2 campaigns going live on the 16th for sure. We have Nick and I's campaign for the RPG and trade paperback combo. And we have the Out of Obscurity anthology that goes live on the 16th as well. Both of those campaigns were supposed to go live earlier in the month, but because Fund My Comic got pushed back, rather than launching on Indiegogo, who has shadow banned pretty much the entirety of the Hybrids collection, we just decided to wait for Fund My Comic and do it over there because we also get to keep more of our money, which is fantastic. So be sure to check out that tomorrow night. Also, check out
in the middle of the night or early Friday morning, depending upon where you are in the world. A group of experienced comics professionals get together to examine and instruct about the art form that they love. That's great comic artwork on Comics by Night, Fridays at 5 a.m. Eastern, here on the Indie Comics Network, indiecomicsnetwork.com.
What was that? This is not a charade.
That's
What a fun little tag there at the end.
That's the entire flavor of the show in 30 seconds.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, check that out. He's also got the Sunday Funnies. I don't have a bumper for that. Check out Sunday Funnies on the same network.
I can get one to you.
Yeah, get one to me.
30-second bumper.
Yeah, get that over there. Also, I do Nerdcap on Tuesday nights. This Nerdcap is going to be special. We're going to do a live walkthrough of the Fun My Comic site. So check that out. There you go. Check that out. Also, be sure to go to aerocomics.store and check out Nick's stuff, all of the wonderful things he's doing over at Nick. What's your website stuff?
NicholasTockert.com gets you almost all my links right now.
NicholasTockert.com.
So I forget. Some people have to hide their name or choose to. It's weird that we have to be that way. I think it's kind of tragic that people have, require sometimes the anonymity of online, and that makes me sad. It really does, because you should be able to express yourself.
There's a lot of people that can't, though. I mean, that's really the problem. There's a lot of people out there that cannot show their name for fear of losing their well-being.
Yep.
Because they may think a little
Present
differently.
party included.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some things. Well, again, off stream I can talk to it more, but there was a conscious decision to kind of separate my personal life and my art and stuff. But part of it was presentation, but now there's also necessity in a certain degree. But it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I can tell. It's like there are some people where I can tell they're hiding their name for necessity, and some who use the veil of anonymity to be a dick. And it's always nice to meet people who aren't hiding behind the crested visible shield of the interweb because they don't feel accountable. But you have a heck of a title, and it really I hope it goes well. It's one of those
What's the snail book? You have a snail book too.
Yeah, Critical Snail.
Critical Snail.
Critical Snail. Oh god. Okay, you really are dialed into my sense of humor. So
yeah.
Oh man,
remember
I
around
could spend
here,
a whole hour talking about Critical Snail. Yeah, we can.
And we should. Remember, guys, around here we have one rule.
I do the job. And then I get paid.
I do the job.
Hallelujah.
I do the job, and then I get paid. And there's a really good reason why independent comics is winning right now.
See, your actions have consequences. When you oppress people, they rise up in a fiery anger.
Yes, they do. And we are tired of being oppressed. So, guys, be sure to check out everything that's going on. Randy, you got something for us?
No.
All right.
I'm just agreeing with you.
Yep. Check it all out, guys. There's a lot of good stuff out there. And I'll tell you what, when you don't support these great comics that are being made out there, remember, you make our boy here cry.
You make a Smith of yourself.
You make a Smith
You make a Smith of yourself. Don't Smith yourself. Clean
and
up.
it is that time.
Wow.
Listen to the words of Hulk. Come, friends. Let us go away from this dumb place.
Let us go away from this dumb place.
Let us go away from this dumb place.
Amen.
Build up more than you tear down.
Please.
Please. Leave the woodpile higher than you found it. And
buy independent and alternative comics, especially ours.
Especially ours. Aerocomics.store. Check it out. And while you're at it, be careful out there.
Let's be careful out there. Let's be careful out there. We had a 187 at the 7-Eleven on the corner of 4th and Main. Two Caucasians of the male persuasion put a bullet through the cashier's brain. Moving on, I see it 211, half a dozen 459, 218 W's a DTA, several miscellaneous crimes. Homicide.